intro paragraph thing?
Do you have an intro paragraph?
No, like the explaining the setting.
Yeah, you should probably do that. I'd also just like to let you know I started the stream like 20 seconds ago, so this whole
Oh,
conversation is just me started the
perfect.
stream, so
Well, we figured out what we're going to be doing today, guys.
yeah, figured
So,
figured that would be the best way
uh,
to do it. So
yeah, this is the homebrew D&D thing that I've been running for a while, but we've started recording like about 5, 6 months into it. So
yeah,
we're gonna recap Zach here, who's just joined us 3 sessions ago, which will be at the first stream that was recorded. So to get us all up to speed, we'll talk about the setting first. It was long ago in a time similar to ours, modern times, normal Shabu. A large entity known as Lord White descended upon the world and started to absolutely mess it up. World becoming horribly warped and overall a pretty bad time to be a human. But then a godlike race called the Primordials showed up and decided to help humanity and beat back Lord White, which they did manage to defeat Lord White, but all of humanity was wiped out in the process, except for some little pockets of humanity that the primordials hid away, just in case that very thing happened. So, later down the line, as the primordials keep the rest of humanity in a little pocket dimension, eventually they decide that the world is good enough for human habitation. It's good enough it's going to get, anyways. And the primordials let out the humans, and they discover the wastes. It's a pretty terrible place. It is constantly snowing. It is very cold outside. And there are also the creatures known as the scribs outside. They are strange, inky black beasts, or white beasts, or assortment of colored beasts. And yeah, they kind of they're extremely intelligent. They understand human speech and all, and their only desire is to kill. They don't even consume their victims, and they just appear out of thin air sometimes. So those are a big problem in the wastes. One of the main problems. Another great problem in the wastes is the curse of knowledge, which any sort of write-in or really any way to exchange written information that's not verbal comes at a great penalty of strange magical effects just happening, such as a fireball centered on yourself or other horrible, horrible things. And there's also the part of how people think that reality might be breaking apart, as some people will travel well in the same direction and they'll end up at two completely different points. So that's also another problem in the wastes. Uh, But so it's been 80 years since humanity has recolonized the wastes, and things are starting to look a bit better. The primordials can even take a little step back and let humanity do its thing at this point. And that will be the start of this campaign. Makes sense? Sound good, Zach?
makes enough sense.
That makes enough sense. All right. Perfect, perfect. Should I talk with the primordials? That'd probably be a good thing. I can go through all of them here. We
Yeah,
really are just going fully.
we're kind of just lore dumping right now. So
Yeah, like I said, fuck it, we ball. That's
fuck
how
it,
we do
we.
this here.
That is the motto.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we do here. Just fuck it, we ball. I don't plan for anything. I just write a lot of lore and then try to hold on to it. So, the first primordial is Majuarna. She's the primordial of wonder and chaos. She was one of the nicer primordials and is also the head of the primordials. All primordials are based on a ranking system, and anyone going from 1 to 6, the higher you are on the list, means that you can boss around any primordials underneath you, except for things that is in their domain. They have the final say on that. But more basic things, they can boss each other around. Yeah, Audioardo, she was pretty nice to the humans. She was the main one who kind of taught humans how they would need to survive and all of that. She also liked to amaze the humans with some of her magic. She is the primordial of magic as well. However, as the humans started to recolonize the wastes, Majuarna just vanished, and no one knows where she's gone. Even the other primordials have no clue where she's gone, so that's kind of a problem. However, before leaving, she kind of threw a bunch of her magic into the air, and that is how sorcerers are made, through this Majuarna's last gift to the humans before she went out to go get some milk or something. And, yeah, a lot of people, some sorcerers that are disgruntled with their powers, or also some abandoned paladins of hers,
Mm.
are trying to find her. They have no clue where she is, and paladins of her aren't too common anymore. It's also just magically gifted fighters, but hey.
It'd be a
Yeah,
shame
that's
if
what.
anything happened to them.
Yeah, I know, right? Very unfortunate. And that next, there are two primordials who share the same spot. They are the twin primordials of fate, Feoralia and Favorula. Feoralia is the primordial of pathways, and Favorula is the primordial of passages, or as easier things to go, life and death. They are both very joyful primordials, however, in completely inappropriate ways. They have no real concept of how humans think. They are the youngest of the primordials and are also the daughters of Majiorna. And they kind of, while they're the most active primordials, and some humans do like their slightly jovial things towards life, they're also known for being sort of a comparable to a genie that, well, maybe not on purpose, or maybe completely on purpose with them, they will misinterpret what you're asking them for, and they will give you whatever they think you want, which can have some horrific consequences, as they don't really understand things like human feelings or anatomy.
That sounds horrifying.
So, yeah, but however, out of all the primordials, they're the most receptive to kind of just praying for them for aid. They'll kind of just help out with anything, even if it's really simple. However, you have to be extremely careful with them. So yeah, and they are also have known to have some conflicts with another primordial that we'll get into when we get to them. And then the third primordial is the Blessed Unknown. No one knows about them. They are the primordial of mystery, which makes it really hard to know about them. No one knows. There's a lot of different interpretations of the Blessed Unknown and how they look and act and what they want, but none of them are the same at all. Rogues. Some rogues like to think they're the divine champions of the Blessed Unknown, and they all have a certain symbol associated with this god. But once again, none of them are the same. It's also known that this primordial gives tasks to some people. These tasks make an absolutely zero sense, such as bringing a broken bicycle to the top of a mountain. And yeah, a lot of people are confused about this. Some people might think it's a practical joke that's played by the twin primordials, but the other primordials do assure that this primordial is real. That's all they really know about it. Lately, another primordial has been trying to actually find out about this primordial, but to no real avail. And yeah, just a really weird, mysterious he, she, they, who knows. Also, this primordial gifted rogues with the ability to use Thieves' Cant, which is the one language that is not affected by the Curse of Knowledge. So that's pretty interesting. Pretty swell guy, maybe. Who knows? Then there's Havdia. She is the primordial of gateways. She is extremely serious in her job and completely only cares about her job, which is making sure that no dimensional rifts appear, bringing creatures from other dimensions into ours, and just having creatures from other dimensions exist where they shouldn't. That's pretty much all that she cares about. She is pretty cold for a primordial. Really does not care if the humans were to be wiped out at any moment. And really, the only reason she's helping out the humans is because Majuana has ordered her even before she left. At the moment, she's having a war with the twin primordials. The reasons for this are completely unknown, but it is known that their followers have started to get pretty physical with each other. A lot of deaths going around the wastes from this religious war that's been happening. So yeah, pretty much just the dick of the wastes.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, gate. She's a gatekeep girl boss. It happens.
Why is she gatekeeping our friendship?
It's how it goes. It's how she goes. There's then Avrios. Avrios, the primordial of conquest. He is all about going to places and destroying the shit out of it. However, he does have a soft side, which, while he might represent absolute unwanted destruction, he does this in the minds that if he absolutely destroys anything that can hurt the people that he likes, they will be hurt. So he goes on with that conviction, and his followers as well. And yeah, he's a 20-foot tall Hulk in a suit of metal that patrols the wastes and kind of just kills scripts all day. He's a pretty simple guy. He's not really in the greater politics of the primordials. He's really just walks around and crushes shit. Yeah, pretty cool guy, honestly.
Seems pretty chill.
Yeah, he's pretty chill. And usually people are terrified at the sight of him, but they soon learn he's the big softy type, except he's completely made of the metal. Then there's the last primordial, Caraberis Sarah. He is the primordial of dreams.
Did you say Care
He
Bear Sarah?
Caraberis Sarah, yeah. Fun name to say.
Alright.
Love it. Yep. Oh yeah, he's the primordial of dreams. He goes into the dreams of people and he instills hope in them of a better future as they dream of a better world than what they live in. However, he also sends nightmares, which are warnings of not reach too high still, because that could be dangerous. Yeah, kind of just he warns people pretty much. It's all that he does. He used to be the second Dias, which was the second highest rank of a primordial. However, the twins beat him and almost killed him, which is why he's in quite a weakened state at the moment. But yeah, lately he's been trying to find the Blessed Unknown, but has been woefully unsuccessful, as most have. But yeah, he's also a pretty chill guy. It's at the bottom. He mostly just wants the primordials to all come together and help the humans. He doesn't even hold a grudge against the twins. So yeah, another chill fella. And yeah, that's the primordials. That's the people that'll be helping out the humans throughout this. Yeah, humanity's totally got this.
100%.
Yep,
No problems whatsoever.
no problems can arise throughout this wacky cast of characters. All right, well, we'll go to where the party started. Party started with 4 characters here. I'll start from left to right from my angle. We have Larry's Daycaster here. He is a mutant of the wastes, another thing that can happen in the wastes. People will be born with strange looking, not so defects, but mutations, such as Larry's full human body and an eagle head. And he was a he was a cleric of the primordial of Hivdia. However, he was he took her words kind of in the wrong way, as he was much more a protecting the people kind of guy. He wasn't so grim and serious and only caring about his one job. So tried to spread a more positive message about Hive Dia. Whether Hive Dia appreciated this or not is never really known. But yeah, pretty swell guy. He was in the town of Tempor, which is where we'll all be starting, just as helping out the people as usual, as all clerics of Hive Dia totally do. There's then Dracus. He was the town Scriborn. Scriborns are another strange anomaly of the Wastes, where people with scrib-like features will just appear out of the blue in the Wastes. They're not hostile or anything like the scribs, and they're pretty much completely normal. What's strange is they appear fully adult, as like a full adult, and they have knowledge of absolutely everything. Well, not everything. They know how to basically function in society already, and they know about the general history of the wastes already. So, pretty mysterious.
Your average adult.
Dracus, yeah, average adult. You just appear in the world. Good luck. Middle of the frozen wastelands. Yeah, a lot of the Scriborn probably die. But yeah, Dracus was born into the wastes, well, appeared into the wastes, and he was raised by a pack of wolves. The wolves taught him things like making fire and refrigeration and mathematics.
That's terrifying.
Um, Strange, yes. This is this is canonical. The wolves all taught him this. It is frightening, which many people argue to Dracus that those were not wolves that raised him. But Dracus assures that they are indeed wolves that raised him. Dracus is kind of the town forklift in the town of Tempor. Scriborns don't really have the best reputation out in the wastes, being half monsters that haunt the dreams of the residents of the wastes. They aren't treated too kindly. And are usually, kind of the lower class of the wastes. Yeah, but luckily, Dracus was a barbarian, which means he has int 8 and wisdom 8. So that means he can't really register how bad people really treat him.
He's a genius.
Yeah, basically, ignorance is bliss. Good job, Dracus. Dracus is just happy to be a part of something at the end of the day. And he serves the town of Tempor gladly, even though they treat him like the town forklift. There's then Max Brooks. He is a 13-year-old child, and his parents run a completely not successful pawn shop in the town of Tempor, trading little knickknacks that traders come in and trying to get a higher price than what they sold. This never really went well for them. However, sorry, one day a strange person came into their shop with a bow, and and Max felt that bow call to him. Quite literally, as Max heard a voice in his head from the bow. And eventually, Max begged his parents enough to get the bow. And Max was given the bow a Lark. Lark kind of then became the boy's mentor in life, teaching him how to shoot himself.
Okay.
And also cast, yes, the bow is sentient. And yeah, Max is a Warlock Hexblade. And yeah, so the bow Alaric, the bow was once owned by someone known as the Star Child. Uh, Not much is known though. Alaric's kind of hazy on the whole ordeal at the end of the day. So yeah, and then and yeah, that is Max. I'm pretty sure, and that's all that he was. Rory, Rory, the best ranger in the world, as we call him. He he is a 30-year-old man, however, with the harshness of the wastes upon him. He says to look around mid-50s. So we usually refer to Rory as the 30-year-old boomer. He's a ranger of the wastes. He was born marked by Avrios for greatness, and he is a devout follower of Avrios' teaching of just killing the absolute shit out of any scrib that comes in his way. However, Rory does have another side to him, where he does seek to go out to towns and kind of teach them the ways of the ranger to ensure their survival. Or he's a pretty all right guy. He's the good head of the party. So that is our wacky forecast of characters. This wacky four characters were then tasked to go out into the wastes and go retrieve some food because the food stocks were getting kind of low. And as society goes in the wastes, you have to earn your keep in any sort of town that you go in, whether this is by paying a toll of rations or by doing little jobs like this. So, party was set off for all their own reasons. Max was, while the town elder was kind of reluctant with letting Max go, Max wanted to follow along Rory, who he looked up to as a fellow bow user. Dracus is just happy to be there. Dracus is sent for pretty much all the horrible missions of the town, but Dracus has 8 int and 8 wisdom, so he does not really notice. And then Larius, well, Larius is just there to help out the town. It sounds like the town needs the help, and he's gonna go do it for Hivedia because that's totally what Hivedia would want.
100% for sure.
Exactly. So the party is given some rations to go out, and they're also given a cherry pie, which is a large beast that is not native to Earth. They are basically 8-legged bison that people ride. They produce an aura of warmth, which helps out in the wastes. And also, they're known to be very, not exactly brave, but aren't really aware of their surroundings. So they will not care if a predator charges at them. But the moment a cherry pie is hit by anything, it could be something as low as a 1 damage, the cherry pie will immediately be frightened and flee in the opposite direction.
Perfect.
Cherry pies easily could destroy any creature that attacked them because they are very large creatures. So yeah, the party embarks on a cherry pie and they head out. On their way out, they find a cave with a massive scrib in it. Larius, out of character. This is when he learns that scribs can indeed understand common. And he goes into this cave and taunts the large scrib and runs. But he soon learns that the scrib runs faster than him, which produces a chase scene on the cherry pie, which almost ends really badly until the entire group gets in a little prayer circle and starts to pray for their lives, which actually does help them in this world, as the unseen hand of the primordials pushes them just out of the way. The party reprimands Larius for this later, having to really not have to provoke that scrib. And he takes it to mind, maybe. Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So, and so yeah, they continue on their trail. They fight some little. There's a lot of snowstorms and such, as usual in the waste, some random encounters, all that fun. But eventually they get to the place they need to go, a little abandoned tavern out in the wastes. Which they go in there, they fight some scribs that are just chilling in there as usual, having a little drinky poo. That is a joke, by the way. Scribs do not have a drinky poo. Deep lore.
Deep lore.
And
Scribs cannot drink.
Yep, very, very deep. Write it down in the notes. So, yeah, they end up there and they get the food. Life is good. They head on back during a low visibility snowstorm. However, while walking, a strange phenomena that happens out in the wastes happens, which is called a witching hour, which basically a massive colored rectangle will appear in the sky and the scribs will go absolutely apeshit, attacking anything near them, even other scribs. And scribs will just start appearing out of thin air at rapid rates. The party buries themselves under the snow and just lays there unmoving, suffering a lot of exhaustion from the cold. However, eventually they make it up and through this, while also cowered in the snow. They see signs of a race known as the Drakir, which are these strange diminutive creatures that have a religious tendency to try and find artifacts of the deceased Lord White so they can consume it and gain some of his godlike power. And, yeah, they're pretty terrified because, well, normal Drachyr aren't actually strong. They're war priests, which are the Drachyr that have consumed pieces of Lord White, are extremely powerful, and they do spot a war priest in the distance. But while being buried in the snow, they hide successfully from all this horribleness. So eventually, the witch tower goes away. The party gets on up and continues. However, the party is pretty exhausted at this point. Larius being on 5 points of exhaustion, one away from death, and the rest of them being on about four. Eventually, they get to the place where the big cave was, where that scrib that Larius taunted was. And the party has a bad feeling that it's waiting there for them, as scribs are known to do. They are extremely patient. So, Larius, in the last ditch effort, as he feels the cold is taking away his life, he uh, he attacks the scrib in the back. He attacks the cherry pie in the backside, and just prays to everything that cherry pie is going to go as fast as humanly possible. And it does. It just absolutely zooms through this little ambush spot, which the scrib was waiting at, but the cherry pie is much too fast. However, after escaping this, as the party is just about to return to the town of Tempor, the cold finally hits Larius, and Larius's body is claimed by the cold of the waste, the first death of the party.
That was fast.
Yeah, very fast, very fast. The waste was not too nice on them on those first four sessions.
Jesus.
I use random encounters for basically everything, as well for the weather. And yeah, it did not like them that day. But it was a cold and brutal introduction to the world. So yeah, I'm not a merciful DM. If I roll bad random stuff, it happens. So, and then the party gets back to their town. They're expecting, a pretty warm reunion, which they do, as their town was burnt to ash when they were gone. The town being completely burnt down, and just these piles of ash all over the place. While the party does investigate, they don't find any bodies around or anything ash piles that could have been bodies. They're not sure exactly. And also, while looking through the town, the party sees that all of their possessions that they left in town, such as some of the party members' houses in town, are completely turned to ash. There is nothing left for them there. So, on a pretty somber note, the party, who is still almost dying from the cold, does a little funeral pyre for Larius, and takes a. They all take a nap after that in the little burnt out remains of their old town, as they decide they're going to rest there for a while and kind of figure out where in the world do they go from there. So during this, a lot of things happen. A whole lot of things. First, little fun dream sequence happens. Max wakes up in an elevator. Next to him is a suited woman wearing cowboy boots and having revolvers on some holster belts around her, and white hair that glows red. She introduces herself as Omega. Max, protests of where in the world is he, why is he here, and what's going on. But Omega won't really answer. Omega stops by the cafeteria of this strange place, gets a couple of ice creams, refusing to give Max any.
Fucking rude.
Yeah, and yeah. Anyways, Omega brings Max on to a door at the end of a very, very long hallway. This hallway looking completely destroyed, pretty much. Civil war happened in there. Then, when the doors open, they go out to a nice, bright, sunny field with no snow. And this is the first time that Max sees grass, and he does kneel down and touch some grass.
Proud of him.
Yeah, very, very proud. A very good character moment. Then later in the field, they find a little tea party happening with a strange girl in a little summer dress and a what looks like a bathrobe, who introduces herself as the Sui Reiko. Alaric immediately recognizes this person as as his owner's old boss and is absolutely terrified of her because she is known to be pretty brutal, even with her strange, unassuming self, who seems pretty joyful. Which Sui does show her true side as she freezes time, takes Alaric from Max's hand while time is frozen, and starts to berate Alaric for not teaching the child well enough. And as Alaric protests and saying he doesn't really have to do what he says, Sui Reiko decides to curse Alaric, binding his life and existence to Boy's life and existence. And
Oh,
this is when they officially become a hexblade, as they are bound together. Then, after that, Suireko berates Omega for not getting Max some ice cream, even though he asked very politely, which in truth, Max did not. He made a good deception check on Sui. And Omega does begrudgingly go down and give Max his ice cream. So, a pretty happy ending for Max, who did not have to see the horrors of the Suireko freaking out.
oh yeah, and you got some fucking ice cream.
Yeah, so pretty good day for Max. Next person's day, Rory. So Rory wakes up in the morning, and during the absolute chaos, he prayed to Avrios at one point for some help, because he's kind of lost at this moment. And so Rory walks out of the house that he was sleeping in. Then a massive explosion is heard a few feet away from him. Rory is buried in snow, and eventually he claws his way out, and he sees Avrios, who says that he has just jumped here from hundreds of miles away.
He jumped there.
Yes, landed like a meteor onto the ground. Everyone was terrified.
Yeah, all right.
But then, Rory, being a stout follower of Avrios, he knows that's a regular thing that happens. And so Avrios, asks, like, what's up? And he looks around in abject horror as Avrios thinks that he's the one who did this. But Rory does assure him that, don't worry, it was like this before. And Rory kind of asks him, like, yeah, do you have anything for this? And Avrios really does just say that he's just a big martial man. He can't really do much. And he doesn't really know what happened, but he'll be on the lookout, he says. However, Avrios is greatly upset about this whole scene of a village burnt to the ground, and he has no idea who to destroy for it. So, Avrios decides that he needs someone else that can go around and do things for him. So he infuses Rory with even more of his power by blasting him with pure radiant energy. Rory almost dies from this, but
I mean, yeah, understandably
yeah,
so.
yeah, as Avras basically just shoots him with a laser beam. But luckily, Rory survives. He does recommend that Avrios doesn't try that on anyone else. And Rory gains some powers. He can make bows out of light and any weapon out of pure radiant energy, basically. So that's pretty cool.
Does the size of a bow matter?
So, uh, so, and then the next set of dreams is Dracus was sleeping in a barn, which Dracus thought to himself that this is the height of luxury that he's ever experienced in life, usually being forced
Holy
to
shit.
sleep outside of the village in a small collection of trees. So yeah, Dracus is living like a king right now.
Fuck yeah, he is.
Which Dracus is alerted from his slumber from an alarm clock as Dracus wakes up inside of his apartment in downtown Boston.
What?
Yeah, so Dracus wakes up. He's a failed art student. Well, he did pass art school, but there's only as much that an art school gives in the moment of the Renaissance.
Oh god.
So at the moment, his world is basically consumed by one company named Horaiko. which has absolutely replaced everything in the world and a need for any other company in the world, is they have something that can just make anything that they want. And yeah, they kind of just replace everything in the world with their products. And Dracus is out of a job. Pretty much a lot of America is out of a job at that point. So Dracus does have one shot, the Horaiko factory, the only job in his city. So he goes on out for his interview. He gets there. The girl at the reception is very mean. Then he gets into the interviewer's office, where the interviewer's not paying attention, and she just slides over a piece of paper. The paper asks questions like, what is void X? What is void S? There is also a question where 6 identical circles are shown, and just the words at the top saying, choose the right one. And then the last question just says, write down whatever you want. Dracus fills all this out. The interviewer looks at it, and she just tells him to not come back.
Fuck off.
Yeah, pretty much. Dracus is pretty sad at this point. He goes on home and he starts having a mental breakdown because he has no job. He's about to be evicted. His parents won't take him back because he went to art school. Just the typical student life, you know. However, when he gets back, Dracus starts to hear voices in his head. Not the usual voices that Dracus hears, but a completely different voice.
Not the usual voices, but
Yeah.
this one stands out.
Yeah. Yeah, this one is different. A strange entity that has no form, and Dracus can't even begin to understand what the voice sounds like, but just knows that the voice is there in his apartment, eating his cereal, the last cereal that he has.
That's fine.
And yeah, so this strange figure explains that yeah, don't worry, only people who have completely lost their mind and have gone manic can see her. So that is not reassuring to Dracus at all. Which Dracus does ask, like, how are you eating the cereal? And she says to not worry about it. So eventually, she gives a deal to Dracus and basically, tells Dracus how life is. His life's pretty shit. And so what about instead of living in this life, he do something for her, and in return, she's gonna send Dracus to somewhere else, out of this life, and to start anew. Dracus is pretty screwed at this point and is about to just die on the streets of poverty. So he takes the deal. Why not? He has nothing else to lose. So the girl does promise that as a part of the deal, Dracus will have to go and get a job at the Horaiko factory. That Dracus is just going to show up during one of the tests and that the strange entity will help Dracus get through it. So yeah, and then Dracus wakes up back in the barn as normal Dracus.
Yeah,
And
all
also,
right.
yeah, simple. Very easy to understand. And then Dracus is also awoken by a man. He is awoken by Ace Kane Brightstone, adventurer extraordinary. He is a detective, city guard, just the man himself. And he is also known as a rogue cherubim. Cherubims are a strange mechanical race sent by something called Heaven Trademark. The trademark is something that must always be said after the word Heaven Trademark, and no one is capable of not saying it in this world. But yeah, they've set down a race called the Angels and the Cherubims, and they serve humans. They just do their every whim. Some of them are extremely powerful, and there is no rhyme or reason to who gets an angel or who even gets an archangel, one of the most powerful types, or a cherubim who's kind of just like a regular human. Yeah, they're kind of a robotic slave race. However, whenever a cherubim angel or archangel gets killed, instead of just lying there, they are catapulted back up to Heaven Trademark. However, if there's any way to stop them from being sent up, then they are revived by any way. They become rogue. Basically, they have free will. And yeah, usually there are some consequences of this, though, as the whole dying and coming back to life kind of affects them mentally. Ace
Like
K
Ace probably.
Brightstone having a good sense of multiple personality disorder.
That
And
being Ace,
much
Kane,
of,
and Brightstone.
yes, Ace, Kane, and Brightstone. Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah, so yeah, he's a fella. Is any of his stories real? Is any of his lore real? I don't even know personally. His backstory scares me. But yeah, this is Brightstone. So yeah, Dracus is woken up and is interrogated by this Brightstone fellow. Dracus is, sub-tenant. Brightstone quickly realizes. So Brightstone goes to find some more reputable gentlemen. Which Brightstone doesn't really find, but he finds people above tenant. He finds Max and Rory, which they all kind of talk. They explain the whole situation to Brightstone. And Brightstone decides, as the best detective in the world, he is going to find out what happened to this village. And he asserts himself in the party without really asking them. He just follows them along.
Yeah, that sounds like Brightstone.
Yeah, good job, Brightstone.
Bro did it.
Yeah. So the party decides at this point, they ain't got nothing here. Like what? If they have a lot of rations though that they took from the mission that they did, so they're
That's
set on
fair.
that.
It's a,
But yeah, they're in a burnt down town. So they decide, let's go find another town, and then maybe there'll be some people there from this town. Because it looks like there's no bodies here. If they survive the waste, who knows? But better than just sticking in this. So Rory knows that nearby there's the town of Hivedale. Well, nearby to him. He knows that it's a quick 5 to 7 day travel to the town of Hivedale from here. So the party pack up on the cherry pie. They head off. And while heading off, they find a little abandoned shack that they decide to go in for the night and have a little rest. However, as they walk through the door of this abandoned shack, they end up in a bar. A very well decorated, very modern bar. And behind the counter is Omega, the same person that Max found. Omega is extremely exasperated that the party just appears there, as she realizes that she forgot to lock the door. Which, as the party looks behind them, they see a nice, bright, sunny day outside, no snow in sight, and the party's quite confused. And as the party, walks out of the abandoned building, which has a whole wall missing, by the way, they just see it's a normal abandoned building, no bar inside. But they walk through the door and they end up back in the bar. So the party starts interrogating Omega, having no idea what's going on. And Omega just really doesn't explain much, just says this happens, unfortunately. And she's cursed to work at that bar. And if anyone goes into the bar, she is immediately teleported there. And
hurt
she's
feelings.
she's pretty pissed about this. So, however, she does explain to the party that if they reach in their pockets, they're going to find something called stage passes, which the party does find. Dracus also reaches into his pockets, even though he does not have clothes, and does take out stage passes, which does kind of scare him and the rest of the party. But Omega, as usual, just says for the party to not ask any questions and just accept anything that happens to them. So, with these stage passes, the party can buy some magical food and drinks that will enhance them throughout their journeys. Omega does not explain where these stage passes come from or what she uses them. She explains she uses them for rent because the Suireko does not really pay her enough for the job that she does. So she's kind of forced to ask for this, or she's going to starve and be homeless. The party makes a lot of fun. Makes a lot of fun of Omega over this, by the way. Just absolutely brutally tear into her and her whole persona. Which eventually she gives up with the party and just retreats to the back of the bar to sulk and watch anime.
A fucking weeb.
Yeah, she's a weeb. It's very unfortunate. The party Party does not know that she's a weeb, but they do hear strange languages coming from the back.
Good.
Probably horrible eldritch things. The party try not to listen to it.
They're terrified.
Good. We all are, don't worry. So, after that, the party keeps adventuring on from their little journey, Pooh. And eventually, they are ambushed by some bandits who want a toll to pass this place. There's absolute nothing in the wastes. The party basically tells them to eat a bag. And the bandits get pretty upset about this.
Naturally.
And yeah, they attack the party. And during the fight, however, a hawk wearing full knight's armor and carrying a long sword in its talons shows up and starts to speak in old Gothic English and starts to fight the bandits alongside them, talking about chivalry and valor.
What?
Yeah, and the hawk can also speak near common. Which after the fight, they kind of you're like, hey, thanks, but what the hell are you?
Yeah.
And the hawk explains that he is Dean Hawk. He is a loyal knight of Polis, which Rory and Brightstone do a history check for. Uh, Brightstone knows Polis as a powerful wizard out in the wastes who studies scribs and is even part scrib herself. She is extremely powerful and also extremely violent towards other wizards who try to get into her work. She's kind of a loner, but all in all, she's not a bad person. Bright Rory, however, knows other tales of a strange scrib creature once was a human but threw away their humanity and stalks the wastes, devouring travelers. So they really have a split opinion of this Polis person. So Dean Hawk kind of just talks to them like, yeah, hey, you guys seem pretty cool and valorous and chivalrous. You should come with me to the manor, and it'll be all cool. We can hang out. I'll show you the Polis. You guys look pretty lost. So the party agrees, outnumbering Rory, who really doesn't want to go. Because at this point, the party's just interested in Dean Hawk, the strange Hawkman. Which, by the way, during all of this, Dean Hawk is taking the corpses of these bandits and is cutting them up and putting them in a bag of holding.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah, it's cut them up in little small pieces. So yeah, nothing weird. Dean Hawk also gets Max to help him for one of them because Dean Hawk doesn't really have thumbs, and Max is absolutely traumatized by this experience, as he will be for many more experiences. So eventually, the party sets off with Dean Hawk, and they make it to Polis's mansion, which they meet Polis. She is a woman who is split down the half directly in the middle. One half is of a normal pale girl, bloodshot eyes, black hair, and if one notices closely, some veins coming out of her. She's kind of grotesque. However, she has a very dignified pose and usually uses angles to her advantage to not really show off her horrific appearance. However, the other half of her is extremely horrific, as it is a large creature with a body about twice the size of her leg being always curled up a little, and her arm dragging on the ground next to her, and a large skull like head with antlers on the other side, clawed hands, and a hoofed feet. And yeah, that's Polis. She's a pretty nice gal. She is extremely upset with Dean Hawk for inviting four people into her manor who she doesn't know. But unfortunately, Polis does have a code of honor and will respect Dean Hawk's opinion of bringing you guys and invites you all to dinner. Or invites the four to dinner, which the party accepts, not willing for Rory, but he's kind of terrified at this point because he just knows Polis is the scary lady who eats people.
Oh.
So yeah, they also meet the rest of the cast of Polis's gang. So, first off, they meet Doghead the next morning. He is a man wearing a plush head of a dog with a long neck.
Why?
And yeah, yeah. He has a lot of knives, poisons, bombs on him. And Brightstone does manage to identify him as Polis's assassin, specialized in killing magic users. And
Okay.
he is completely terrifying. He's a pretty nice guy, though, pretty happy. He's kind of twitchy and stuff, but he is nice. He terrifies the entire party as he talks about dismembering people. But yeah, a pretty nice guy all around.
At least he's got a hobby.
Yeah, he's got a hobby. He's got a hobby. And yeah, then another character comes out. A This one is a girl with some bunny ears named Bonnie.
Oh.
She she is the chef of Polis and is one of the best chefs in the Waste. However, after seeing the party, she has a panic attack. She wasn't really expecting them, and she drops the soup that she was carrying for the feast, which Bonnie then flees from the scene crying. So, pretty all right mentally, really.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, completely a sane person.
Yeah.
But she's what I call a little scrungy. That's
Oh,
how it
little
goes.
scrungy. Okay.
Yes, little scrungies. I use the term for sad little people who do not belong in this world. Uh, so yeah, she's making the food, and then there's also Silver Wolf. He follows Polis, and he is known as Polis's executioner. As he explains that Polis fears that one day she's going to go completely batshit crazy and is going to start killing people. And basically, his whole job is to train himself to kill Polis eventually.
Lovely.
Yeah, pretty swell guy. He's kind of just always next to Polis, ready to chop off her head. And then there's also Daniel, the last of them. He is a brooding teenage boy. And the whole time during the dinner, he eats as fast as he can and leaves. He's known as Polis's gardener, and that's about it. He doesn't really talk much to the party.
I'm feeling
He's
personally attacked right now.
what? Do you identify with this character?
Wow. Just
Yeah,
hitting real close to home.
strange, brooding child. Paulus says he's a good kid, all in all. And yeah, the party then has the most awkward dinner known to man, as Dracus is not used to eating food at a table, and he quickly embarrasses the party. The party also just embarrasses themselves in general by the strange questions they ask the other party goers and such. Paulus looks like she wants to leave or kill everyone at the table in equal measures. Yeah. The script half of her wants to kill them all. The human half also wants to kill them all.
That's
So,
to be understandable.
however, at one point, Rory asks a pretty offensive question to Paulus. And Paulus just looks at him like a really dude. And Rory just excuses himself to the washroom. However, as he tries to go to the washroom, he notices that Polis's mansion isn't exactly normal, and it doesn't have a normal layout. He gets horribly lost in it,
The
and
fuck is a
eventually,
normal layout?
sometimes he'll go into what he thinks is a bathroom, and it's a kitchen or another dining room. And also, every room doesn't even look like it's from the same mansion.
Yeah, okay.
So Rory gets very lost as he can't really find any landmarks as he rolls a nat 1 of navigation.
Perfect.
Anyways, Rory ends up in the basement inside of a dirt tunnel.
Yeah, he definitely got lost.
Yeah, there was a lot of survival checks in Polis's mansion. He failed them all. It's
Well, I was just looking for the bathroom. Now I'm in
we
a
call
sex dungeon.
well, we call Rory the best ranger because he's absolutely dog shit at rolling survival, and he gets the party lost 24/7.
Sounds like the best ranger.
But yeah, best ranger.
It's gotta be the best.
So,
He's the only one.
however, in the basement, he finds something weird. He finds some cherubim known as the Camelots down there, which they've been encountering inside of the mansion for a while. They are cherubim, but however, they're kind of stupider. They can only ever take one command.
Good.
However, these these Camelots were swarming the mansion. The party would basically always be seeing 10 or 20 of them at any given moment, which would do the party's bidding, whatever they wanted. However, only one command at a time, or they would completely mess it up. So Rory in the basement finds battalions of these things marching down this dirt hallway, which also Rory, who can sense the presence of scribs, was sensing about 300 scribs beneath him. And so Rory decides to check it out. And and he's going to follow these Camelots to go and find out, which he's pretty sure are going to lead him there. So he follows these battalions of Camelots until he finds a large dugout room filled to the brim with the 300 scribs that he was detecting, along with about 300 Camelots as well, constantly dying and being replaced by more Camelots, jumping into the fray and fighting. Basically, Roy just stumbles upon a battlefield in a basement. However, at the other side of this room, Rory spots that there's a portal in the ground that the scribs are coming out of. So Rory decides that he wants to get a closer look at this.
No, no.
So Rory decides, hey, I'm gonna climb the side of the walls. And it's like, yeah, sure. Once again, Rory's the best ranger, so if Rory ever tries to do cool ranger things, it never goes well.
Once again, Rory's the best ranger, so naturally.
Yeah, so naturally he falls. So, but don't worry, Rory has Misty Step, right? So he teleports back onto the wall, and he fails again
Why'd he go back to the wall?
because he was too far to get out of the battlefield.
Good.
So yeah, he falls down. However, Rory does manage from a cape that he was gifted by Avrios. He has a bit of slow fall, so he manages to slow fall his way not too deep into the scrib ranks and kind of near to the Camelots. Rory then dodges 12 attacks of opportunity towards him,
Oh my god.
which only one of them hit. And two, if you would have been hit one more time, you would have went unconscious and died. So 15 AC. Those scripts had a +5 to hit. It was quite upsetting to me, who love to kill people.
God, he's both the most unlucky and luckiest motherfucker.
Yeah, that's Rory. He won't like he gets into shit places and then like kind of walks out of them unscathed.
Falls into a volcano, just climbs out. Like, damn, that was close.
Yeah, that was crazy. Which, by the way, back at the dinner table, Rory's been gone for about an hour at this point,
Looking for
and
the bathroom.
Paulitz is waiting to kind of like talk to the party because she wanted to like give them an offer of like, hey, maybe you should do something for me, and I'll give you things. But Rory's still gone, and Paulitz decides that yeah, he probably got lost.
Oh, it only took her an
Which,
hour to figure that out.
the party agreed. Rory does get lost a lot. And Paulus does say she thought he was a ranger and could manage the house, but I guess no.
Nope. He's only a
Because
ranger.
his favorite terrain is not mansion. So, Paulus gets up with the gang, and they start to walk around her house. And eventually, Paulus decides, well, there's only one place in the mansion that he could go to that would be really bad. And that would be the large battlefield in my basement.
That would be exactly where he is.
So Paulus teleports down in there, and eventually they find out that Rory never did find the bathroom. He just pissed on his way down in the tunnel.
Heads up.
Which, and Paulus has no idea where he is in these tunnels. So she uses Rory's piss to find him by using some magic on it, which Paulus immediately vows that whatever she wants Rory to do for him, Rory is going to do.
Yeah.
After having to do that, Paulus being a woman of high class. And eventually, yeah, she does manage to teleport Rory to them. And, Rory kind of brushes it off like, it was nothing. Everything was fine.
Hey guys, I no longer need to pee.
Yeah, he did not find the bathroom, which he immediately asked Polis where an actual bathroom is, which
Hey.
which Polis plane shifts him to the elemental plane of water, and then brings him back, to tell him to piss while he's there. She
Hold your
she
breath
leaves
and
him.
piss.
Yep, but that is what happens. Which, so Rory's brought back, and Polis then there explains like, hey, that portal there that you saw, Rory, which she then re-explains everything to the party as Rory just sits there drenched while he's
Good.
in the elemental plane of water.
Good.
And yeah, Paulus just explains to them like, hey, look, I don't want a portal in my basement that's spewing out scribs all the time. It's
Kind of an
draining my
inconvenience.
draining my maid force. I don't know. So she, tells them, hey, I know a back entrance that leads to the same place that this portal's coming from. The problem is it's kind of far out. So I need you to go to the town of Hivedall, and I need you to go talk to my buddy, Yorma, who is really good at digging holes.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the party's like really confused about this, and Paul's kind of says, "Yeah, don't worry, we need Yorma to do this because I don't want my house to collapse." Which the party says that's pretty fair that they'll do it. Rory not having a decision in the matter. So the party goes to sleep, and Paul says, hey, "You guys can rest up here because all you look tired, and feel free. My house is yours. Just don't break anything." So AK, of course, being very thoughtful of property, goes to sleep, and he wakes up. And Brightstone has a bad habit. He likes to read. He knows how to spell. He worked for a wizard while he was in slavery. So, yeah, he decided he was going to read one of his books. He reads the book, and the Curse of Knowledge activates and casts Animate Object in his room
Oh.
as all of the furniture starts to get up and beat the shit out of him. However, Brightstone has a good idea. He's going to leave the bedroom, and then the bed is going to be too big to get on the door frame, which all the furniture attacks the wall and bursts through the wall to then continue beating the shit out of Brightstone. Brightstone lives this just narrowly as the spell ends and also completely destroys all of the furniture that was animated. That's when Doghead walks up to this scene and is kind of like, wow, this looks really bad. Polis is going to be pissed. Anyways, I'm going to go tell her.
Anyways, say your prayers.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much is like, Doug is like, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to probably deal with you soon. I'm just going to ask Polis if she wants me to.
Just gonna make sure real quick. She wants me to kill you.
Yeah, so Brightstone starts immediately shitting and pissing himself. Because
Naturally.
he's even more terrified of Doghead than he is of Polis. Because Doghead's pretty much just a serial killer of wizards,
That's
and
fair.
he's known to slowly torture them.
That's fair. Yeah.
And no wizard came into her house and broke her wall, so he's probably going to get worse.
Mm.
So Brightstone has a marvelous plan because he knows that Polis knows that Doghead is not the smartest chip off the block. So Brightstone takes a picture from the other wall and hangs it up over the hole in the wall, along with multiple other pictures in this hallway to cover up the hole. He then just sweeps all the broken splinters into a closet.
They won't be found
Polis,
there.
yeah, Polis comes in, immediately finds the closet, and calls him, and informs Brightstone that she's the one who hangs up the paintings, and that she would never just have 20 paintings all next to each other in a barren hallway. And is even more insulted that he thought that this would work.
Look, in his defense, one of his party members, Dracus, would have fallen for it. Okay.
Yeah, which Dracus also comes out and says that there is nothing wrong with this.
Exactly. See, it was
And
a good idea.
Max. So at this point, Polis says, "Hey, bring your whole party out here. We're going to talk." And
Sure, let's go.
As Polis goes to the rooms that she assigned them, Max and Rory aren't there.
Naturally.
Max has decided that he wants to find out more about Daniel. For what reason? Who knows? But he tries to pester Daniel to get some lore. Daniel tells this kid to fuck off, basically, that he's busy as he tends to his petunias in the garden
Petunias.
with the most teenage angst you can use while trimming some petunias.
Fuck off. I'm brooding.
Yeah, exactly. He's brooding. And, Max keeps trying. Also, during the night, as I forgot to mention, Max befriends Bonnie, kind of. Bonnie is terrified of him. However, during the night, Omega appears in Max's room. It basically tells, "Hey, Max, I'll give you some food if you go find Bonnie and tell her to make some spicy ramen for me," which Max agrees to. Bonnie is terrified that Max knows about Bonnie's spicy ramen, as he just basically goes up to his door and demands it. And,
Give me the
at this,
ramen.
yeah, like, "Hey, I need this specific ramen that you make." Bonnie's like, "I don't know you, sir. How do you know this
I
about me?"
don't know you.
As Bonnie is crying behind the locked door. But eventually,
Shitting and
Max,
crying and pissing.
yeah, as usual, as Bonnie will always do it if she's on screen. So Max basically, persuades Bonnie by saying, "Look, I'm like 13 years old and I barely know how to shoot this bow. Me and you are in the same boat." But Bonnie sees the point that she's terrified of a 13-year-old child and should get over herself. She's an adult. However,
At least she
as, as
understands.
however, as she gets out, that's when she hears the voice of Alaric talking, which does send her back into a panic. But at this point, she's at the kitchen, and she makes the meal as if this is the last meal she will ever make. Which Max, she kind of likes Max more than the rest of the party, so they kind of become friends,
Is this the
sort
kitchen
of.
over here?
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
This layout makes no sense. Why is there a bedroom and then a kitchen?
I told you it's Polis's place.
But there's no wall here. But there's a. The
Yeah,
closer I look at this map, the more I'm concerned for the next few sessions.
yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it. So, anyways, Max, Max heads on back. So, yeah. So Brightstone and Dracus, because Dracus is just lumped up into this for some reason. They're told to go find their party members and bring them for a little chatty chat. And they have an hour, or Polis is going to eat them, which the party is terrified about, and they immediately try and go find their friends. Rory decided that, Rory's been dealing with a lot of shit lately. That town got burnt down to a crisp. He almost died like 7 times in the past week.
His own fault.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, he decided, there's a limitless supply of scribs in the basement. I'm gonna go shoot some bows at them. Take off some stress. Just kill scribs, praise Avrios, my man. So he goes down, just pot shots scribs from the side of the battlefield. And eventually Brightstone finds them. And it's like, which also Dracus. Because Dracus gets lost and he manages to find Brightstone before anyone else. Good job, Dracus.
He did it.
So, yeah, anyways, Brightstone and Dracus head on down. They see Rory taking pot shots at some scripts. And they're like, "Hey, man, Pulse wants to talk to us." And Rory's like, "Yeah, I need a moment, guys. Like,
I'm hella
I'll be
fucking
up
busy here.
I'll be up in a bit." And they're like, he asks him how long he has to be in. He's like, "Well, I think Polis wants to see you now." And Roy's like, "No, no, no, it's fine. Don't worry, I'll be up on time."
Good
So,
job. Up on time.
Brightstone is once again pissing and shitting himself at this moment. This hasn't stopped. He's terrified still. So he decides that there is one good way to get Rory up, and he realizes that the Camelots will listen to him.
Oh, good.
So, Brightstone, in his words, say that he raises his voice as loud as he can and commands the Camelots to grab Rory and bring him upstairs. It is then all 300 Camelots in the basement
Oh god.
turn face Rory, which as the scripts are killing them during all of this, as they're no longer fighting back, and they all swarm Rory. Every single, every single Camelot, and
Absolutely nothing went wrong with this plan.
yeah, they drag off Rory as Rory is trying to fight back. Rory soon finds out that the Camelots have a self-defense method, and they also as soon as he hits one of them to try to get out, all 300 absolutely dogpile him, and
He lived.
eventually, well, not all 300 took an attack at him, just like the ones surrounded him. He was knocked unconscious. He lasted 2 rounds because the Camelots aren't super accurate, but yeah, he tried, and he was knocked unconscious and dragged up. So at this point, Brightstar realizes he's fucked up even more because now he's seen that the scripts are escaping and their numbers are getting higher. Like about 30 a second are appearing from this portal.
Oh goody.
So Brightstone does Brightstone tells Dracus like, hey, go back to Polis and tell her I'm gonna go get Max. I know where Max is. Just go back to Polis. And Dracus is like, I got it. Don't worry. And
No
so
problem.
Brightstone heads upstairs in an opposite direction as Dracus and jumps out a window and leaves.
He just leaves.
He just ditches the place
That's
and
that's a reasonable response, honestly.
he flees into the wastes in the middle of the night. So at this point, Dracus comes to Polis with nothing. Not even Brightstone. Rory's still not there yet as he's being dragged away and beaten. So Dracus shows up, and Polis is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, you, you've come back for less people than you started with.
I sent you to get your friends and you're back alone now. What the fuck?
Yeah, and which Dracus is like, oh, yeah, I'll go find Brightstone. He said he's gonna go get Max somewheres. So Dracus wanders the halls for a long time as Rory is deposited in front of Polis, unconscious and beaten. Paulus has no idea what has happened as 300 Camelots come out of the basement and just deposit Rory onto the ground.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and so Dracus eventually finds Max, brings her to Polis, and Polis is pissed even more as she says, like, "Hey, those scripts in my basement are going to be everywheres now. I probably have to leave this place for a while until the Camelots can clean it out, and I'm probably gonna have to help them do it." So she's like, "Hey, I'm really pissed, and like the only way to make this up is I really have to make sure that you're gonna go do the thing that I told you to do." So Polis says that she's gonna cast a Gigas spell on the whole party, that they have to go find Yorma.
Oh, what spell? Oh, what?
Gigas.
Oh, good.
It's a spell. If you don't
Yep.
obey it, take
Yep.
some damage.
Yep. I'm aware of Gias.
Which, yeah, totally out of character. Paulus does not have Gias in her spell list and makes a really good deception check and a
Nice.
prestidigitation.
Cool.
The entire party falls for it because they do not have a caster.
I do not have a caster anymore because he jumped out the window.
He has gone. So the party's sent off, which the party's like, yeah, we fucked up there. Rory's kind of pissed. Everyone's kind of pissed that Brightstone left. Meanwhile, out on the wastes, Brightstone it's a blizzard outside. Brightstone's not having a good time.
No, it's like midnight.
And Brightstone realizes, like, look, I might not die from Doghead, but I'm still going to die. Which then he also sees a strange dog-headed figure in the distance
Oh, well, he's dead.
running at him. So at that point, Brightstone gets to his knees. He prays
Literally shits himself.
Yeah, literally shits himself at this point, and just prays to anyone who's listening. Not even the primordials, because he needs something more than the primordials, as he
Oh,
says.
good.
Which it is then that Brightstone meets the mysterious entity Kuruhake, which says, "Yeah, sure, I'll get you out of this bind, but in return, I want one action from you." Which
Oh,
Brightstone's kind of terrified of, but Brightstone takes it.
so he owes an action.
Yep, and one action from you. So yeah, Brightstone takes it. He has no other option, and he's like, "Sure." So, anyways, in the morning, the party goes on out to the cherry pie. They head on out to back on track to Hivedall. And then Brightstone comes out of the fur of the cherry pie, completely intact. Brightstone has no idea what happened.
Hey guys.
But yeah, pretty much. And the party's like, "Yo, bro, what the fuck?" And Brightstone's like, "Don't worry. I've turned a new leaf in my life. I've realized, like, mortality and life is precious and all that."
Anyways, please don't let the dog guy see me. Can we
Yeah,
leave?
yeah, pretty much. He's like, "Yeah, anyways, I'm gonna go hide again in here. Uh, tell me when we're far enough from dog."
Man, I wonder
So,
how this is gonna go when we come back.
oh, it'll be great. So, anyways, uh, we'll head on to the next scene. As the party is walking around, they have some other random encounters, none of them. And eventually, they come up to this little abandoned town, but they find out that bandits have been living in it. They decide, hey, we need some supplies, because why not? And bandits are bad. Let's set an ambush for them and take their shit,
Mm,
because they are bad people, and we will save the wastes and all that fun jazz.
let's be heroes.
So Dracus decides that he's going to bury himself under the snow near the campfire where the bandits are going to rest, and everyone takes some position in some different houses for a good old sneak attack. It is
What?
at that point that they start to see some strange figures in the distance as the Drakir arrive, along with a war priest and some bandits in tow. That it looks like they've been made to lead them to this place as the Drakir execute them immediately as they arrive. And the Drakir just start to, make the place their own. Just set up shop there. They all surround Drakus, hidden underground. They all head into the buildings that the party members are
Oh,
inside of.
good.
And yeah, the party is collectively shitting and pissing themselves once again. And a stealth sequence plays out. That on the first round, someone fails the stealth horribly twice. And the whole camp goes into shit mode as the whole party is rushing to get on to the cherry pie. Drakus bursts out of the ground as an opportunity attacked a lot and is almost grappled to the ground, but he keeps surviving. He is then hit by a fireball by the war priest and then by a finger of death by the war priest. But Drakus lives because he is Drakus. He lives with 3 health. And yeah, a lot of the party also takes some spears and bows in the back, but unfortunately, Max was in a complete on the farthest house from the cherry pie, and he has no way getting to the cherry pie without running right next to the war priest, which Max knows he's gonna die if he does. So Max decides I'm gonna go run in another direction, and then I'm gonna meet up with the party later. However, a massive horde of the little Drac here are chasing Max, and while running through the forest, he gets hopelessly lost inside of the forest. He does not really know which way he has to turn, as he had to make some twists and turns to get away from the Drek here. However, the party does wait on the other side of the forest, for where Max said that he would meet them at. Max is horribly lost at this point, and as he's wandering around, he gets even more lost, and eventually, he is pounced by a scrib that comes up from the trees. And
They're in the
Max,
trees.
Yes. And unfortunately, this would be the end of Max, as the small 13-year-old child's throat is ripped out by this scrib, and the bow is left on the ground next to the lifeless corpse of Boy, which at that point a strange figure would pick up the bow and say that they have work to do. This would be the end of Max.
R.I.P. 13-year-old boy.
Yep, rip. Never got to be a good bowman. Do do do. So at that point, party's waiting, and they start to hear screams of pain and agony.
Oh, nice to be
And
assumed.
they no, they don't assume. They take their cherry pie and they throw it into full gear, and they slap its ass as they usually do to make it go faster, as it is terrified of this. And however, while running, there's a man in the woods named Oliver. He is just, in the woods. He's just escaped from his old party of adventurers
Just
who they are the chosen party of the twin primordials. And Oliver wants out. He has abandoned them. He doesn't even care if he dies in the waste at this point. His old party is pretty weird. He does not like them. And as he's walking, he is almost trampled to death by a cherry pie. However, he manages to hold on to it for dear life to not be crushed by it. And the party ends up in a clearing where they see Boy's lifeless corpse and that strange saber-toothed cat-like scrib standing over his dead corpse. The party's pretty pissed, except for Dracus, Dracus is pissed, but he has 3 health, so if Dracus says he's going to sit this one out,
pissed, but can't really do anything about it.
yeah, he basically rages, yells at it, and then goes to sleep.
Ah!
Yeah, good job. Anyways, the party, along with Oliver, who's kind of just thrust into this, the dispatch of the scrib. The party realizes Oliver's just there with them, and is kind of like, "Hey, what's up? Who are you? When did you even get here?" And Oliver just explains. And Oliver's like, "Hey, you guys gonna go anywheres but here? Cool. I'm coming.
Cool, I'm in.
Yep, I'm in. Does it get me far away from this place? Cool. I'm even more."
Did you
And
abandon me? Doesn't really matter. I'm coming with you.
yeah, the party that does say like, "Well, can't really have another person," and Oliver just gets on the cherry pie, and Rory's kind of too nice and a good person, along with pretty much everyone in the party except for Brightstone. However, Brightstone does like him. It's Oliver he knows is a wizard, but Oliver completely refuses this, saying that he is a swordsman. Actually,
Best swordsman.
yeah, he is a best swordsman. Which Oliver will explain that any spell that he does is sword techniques. No one believes him.
Hmm.
There's not a single soul who is fooled by this in the party, or even in general. So the party make their way to Hivedall, which they come to a pretty upsetting sight as they see a bunch of refugee tents in front of the gates. Which Rory's like, "Hey, that's not normal." Well, sometimes it's normal, a couple of them, but not this many. So Rory gets to the gate, and there's 2 queues, which at first they talk to some of the refugees, and they say, "Yeah, this hive doll has started to charge egregious prices for entry into their city, and no one can afford to go inside." And apparently, the food stores of Hive Doll have been robbed. All of the food gone in a single night. So Hive Doll has to up its prices. Pretty unfortunate.
R.I.P.
So anyway, there are 2 lines to get into Hive Doll. One for returning visitors and one for new visitors. So Rory goes into the returning ones, and the rest of the party goes to the other. Rory meets one of his buddies who's working the guard post, guy that he knows, which is Briggs Windswept, one of his friends. And Rory just talking to him. Briggs feels kind of bad for having to make Rory pay this much, but Rory does tell Briggs that Something happened. Tells them about all of his journey. And also how the party during a random encounter found an orange scrib, which has actually put Dracus into a coma as of late, which is not good. And Rory kind of convinces him, like, yeah, probably Hyvdia herself should know about this stuff. So you should like let me in. Well, like he didn't really ask for even a discount, but Briggs does give him a discount. He gives him the normal price of entry, which is 10 pounds of food, compared to the regular 30 they were asking for. So Rory appreciates it. And Briggs tells him that Hyvdia is actually coming to the town in about 4 days. So that's good. So Rory enters the town. He's all good, and he waits for the rest of his party to get through the queue, which is much longer the other side, and eventually they get to there, which then they meet Styx. Styx is another guard captain, one of the high paladins of Hyvdia, and he's a dick. No one likes him, not even the other guards. And basically, so there's a big rule in Hivedal. They are extremely strict about wizards and stuff and paper compared to any other city. And they do some extensive checks on people. Already did know about this before going in. Breakstone is a very, being like, yeah, I like books. I have a shit ton of them. And Styx immediately doesn't like him through other things as well. Brightstone starts to give him all this weird stuff and talking to him about stuff that does not matter. So Styx charges Brightstone 90 pounds of food for entry, which is a lot. It's more than half of the party's food that they have. But, the party out of character thinks, it's fine. It's only one of us. Then Oliver goes in. And through the same means, Oliver did hide everything else except for some ink in his coat, which he gets caught for, and he has to pay 70 pounds of food to enter, as his ink is also confiscated. So pretty unfortunate. Dracus is in pretty much no problems, just the normal 30 pounds, because Dracus is unconscious. So, after finally getting in, Rory asks them how it went. Brightstone says, yeah, bro, don't worry about it, trust me. And Rory does not trust Brightstone ever. So he just goes to the requisition station and asks, yeah, how much food does my cherry pie have on it? And the guard says 3 pounds of food. And Rory realizes he's not going to have a good time. And Rory goes to a 30-year-old boomer bar for the night to drink away his sorrows. So, while in the town, however, they drop Dracus off at the church. And meanwhile, in Dracus's mind, he has been transported to a land filled with smiling suns and happy clouds and rainbows, a nice green field, and also a snake man in some king's clothing, wearing a crown, who presents himself as Lord Orange. He is the lord of this little happy world, and he wants Dracus to go on a tour of it. Check it out, see what you have, relax. It's a nice time here. Dracus is like, hey man, I have friends. I need to go check on them. Like, I have things to do, bro. I'm sorry. Which Lord Orange gets pretty mad at this and is like, yeah, don't worry. And he just like takes Dracus's hand to drag him along. But Dracus then headbutts him as hard as he can.
Yeah,
And
right.
Lord Orange gets really pissed about this and transports Dracus into an arena in the middle of a desert where all these strange orange scribs look on from the stands as horrible creatures are unleashed into this arena to fight Dracus, as well as Lord Orange shooting some spells into the arena, like large tornadoes. Dracus has no idea what's going on. He's just fighting for his life at this point. You really did not expect that from what he just did.
Yeah, no.
However, Dracus kicks shit in there and absolutely fucks up anything that goes up to him because he is a barbarian. And eventually, Lord Orange just says, yeah, get the fuck out of here. Go back to where you came from. I'm going to come back and I'm going to kick your ass.
Fuck you, fuck your life. I'm coming for your ass.
Yeah, pretty much. And Dracus wakes up in the church as he is surrounded by a lot of clerics. And, they say, job well done, guys. We did it. They all have a high five. The doctor kisses the nurse. And then the other cleric explains that from the procedure that just happened with Dracus to heal him, there are 3 clerics now on leave, and 5 of them are going to need therapy. And they tell Dracus to never go back into that church ever again.
You are now banned.
Yeah, and Dracus is then left outside. Dracus has no idea where he is. He's never been to Hivedall. He does not know where anyone is either. So Dracus starts going on a journey to find the party. Meanwhile, the party kind of starts to learn about the town of Hivedall. So yeah, the food's been stolen for about a week now. Shit's really rough in here. However, there's a couple of leads on it. There's a strange glowing light in an alleyway at night, and people think, hey, that's really suspicious. I wish the guards did something. However, all the guards are paladins. They have oaths to protect one specific location in Hivedall. They cannot stop protecting that location. And there are no guards assigned to an alleyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're kind of like, even a guard's telling them this, and they ask, hey, could you check it out, actually? Because I'm not allowed to leave. Or Hivedall's going to come here and kick my ass. So, yeah.
You did 2 things. That's too much work. Die.
Pretty much. Yep, exactly. You left your mouse for 1 second, die. So, yeah, the party decides, yeah, that's probably a suspicious lead. There's also this guy's wife that's outside. No one likes the guy outside, and no one likes the wife. Her name's Linda. The guard says there's absolutely there's no reason to suspect her, but if they don't find anything, can they just frame her? Because no one likes her in the town. And, the party's like, okay, maybe.
Naturally.
And yeah, and then there's also the storehouse, but the problem is the paladins who guard it aren't letting anyone in because it's their oath to not let anyone in. And they've already messed up enough, and they do not want to mess up more. So yeah, some pretty sane individuals in this town. So eventually, Oliver and Brightstone decide, hey, we're not going to go at the Boomer Bar. Let's go to a seedy, shady inn. And Brightstone finds one all right. He finds the lowest class inn in the town, and he thinks there's going to be some roughened badasses in here. So he gets a disguise kit, and he roughens up Oliver and Bright and himself. And he goes in like he owns this place. And the five under starving people inside of there, who are just down on their luck, are fucking terrified of these 2 people who just walk in, slam their hand on the table and demand a room. And drink a whole thing of water, an entire glass of water in one gulp, making direct eye contact with the bartender the entire time.
I'll make it piss.
Pretty much, yeah. And yeah, the bartender is terrified, gives them the room, please, here's the best room in the place. If you need anything, I will give it to you as fast as possible. I will drop everything I'm doing to accommodate you.
I will literally let you fuck my wife.
Brightstone tries to give him a fist bump and just punches him, and then goes to his room. Oliver just follows behind, terrified of Brightstone. And inside of there, Brightstone got a lot of his stuff confiscated. And eventually, Kurohake shows up and is kind of like, hey, I gave you that book and stuff. Which Brightstone doesn't really remember her giving her that book, but whatever. As the Kurohake also put a bunch of knowledge of spellcast in Brightstone's mind, so he's not really surprised by anything anymore. So, yeah, she's kind of like, hey, here's a piece of paper. If you go into the guard barracks and you put that piece of paper on the ground, you'll get all your stuff back. Which Oliver's also freaking out at this point, like, who the hell are you? And Kurake teleports Oliver outside and gives him a popsicle. Yeah. And then never talks to him again. Oliver does enjoy the popsicle. So yeah, Breadstone takes the piece of paper, which also.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. What flavor was the popsicle?
It was lemon.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, Brightstone also summoned the Kurohake into this room, He took one of Boy's hands and tried to kind of meld the arcane power into himself of Boy. Which Kurake did show up, and it's kind of like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing? Please don't
Whoa.
do not sacrifice blood in my name. That's really messed up. Which Bryson's like, yeah, don't worry, it won't happen again. I know this is a breach of our trust, but I want to improve from this.
Just wanted to make sure this was not okay.
Yeah, Brightstone, he's looking for an employment, and he sees Kurahake as his employer. So yeah, eventually, Rory makes it to this bar, which he does know all the people inside, as they tell Rory, like, "Oh my God, man, you have to help us. These two maniacs came in." And Rory goes up, like, ready to roughen up these two crazy people, and then he sees that it's Brightstone and Oliver. And he's like, "Oh, that explains a lot."
Oh, yeah,
So,
okay.
Oliver. Rory tells him, like, "Yeah, guys, don't worry." And then they get really drunk together. And at one point, Rory's like, "Hey, guys, the guards here are really shit. Why don't, like, you guys do, like, a vigilante thing?" He's like, "I'll train you guys up, and, you guys can fight crime when I'm not here." And these guys, drunk as fuck as well, like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." And then they proceed to
Great idea.
roll. They basically proceed to roll nothing lower than an 18 for their training montage. And Rory basically trains up a hardy group of badasses. Well, not really badasses. They know how to hold a sword now.
They think they're badasses, and that's not what matters.
Yeah, yeah. And Dracus also makes it at one point, and walks in, just takes a room, whatever. Breaks down the door, goes to sleep. Dracus does not feel good. In the morning, the party goes down. It sees there's a bunch of tables with a bunch of sword holes and arrow holes in them. They think the place has been attacked. The boy's like, "Yeah, don't worry, just me and the boys here."
Me and the boys, 3 a.m. looking for fucking villains.
So at this point, the party all talks. Dracus is like, "Yeah, don't worry, guys, I'm alive now."
Okay,
And
good.
they decide, "Hey, let's go check out that green glowing light we heard about." They head on down. They head on down to the alleyway. They find a pile of boxes in a corner that Dracus cannot even lift, and they
Wow.
decide that's pretty suspicious.
Barbarian, man.
So, because it's just like a 2 foot tall box.
Wow.
So, they start investigating the place. Brightstone uses some rituals, all this stuff, and eventually they find a hidden switch on a box, which to not have it trapped, Brightstone sends Goldman, the penguin that he got from Kurohake, to press the button for him, which the boxes would then begin to lift upwards, and they almost crush Goldman. However, Dracus does manage to quickly grab him before
Save,
Goldman is crushed against a wall.
save the penguin.
Yep. They then head on down. They then discover that under the boxes is a ladder downwards underground, about 20 feet deep. And yeah, they just decide, hey, let's go figure it out, huh? And they all go down. As they're heading down, they find some traps in a hallway. And eventually, they hear the sound of a hammer hitting a forge. As they approach quietly, they turn the corner. They see a robotic arm just hitting the forge with a hammer. And then they hear a voice behind them saying, "Hey, if you guys try anything, I'm gonna blow a hole in you, the size of half your body." So I want this guy, which to Dracus, to go into this room, which is just a glass box. Dracus goes in, and then a bunch of gas is released. Dracus is freaking out, but Dracus actually feels better after it, as it cures the corruption from the scourge that he suffered. Then Big leads them to another room where there's some glasses on the table of some murky liquid, and they are told to drink it. They said that if they're her enemies, they will die if they drink it. The party is terrified at this point, but Dracus immediately grabs one of them and downs it, even before the person is done speaking. And, it's not the worst thing Dracus has drank. It's a usual meal for him.
Pretty solid.
And then the rest of the party drinks it. Brightstone decides, like, hey, I'm gonna try to like fake gag for some reason. I don't know why he wanted to, but he decided to. He fails and he actually gags. The whole party notices. But yeah, it's pretty brutal. The party then comes to the conclusion, yeah, that wasn't poison or anything. That was like sewer water we just drank.
Congrats.
Which, yeah, this mysterious person does say, like, yeah, that's nothing. I just wanted to see your reaction to it.
Just want to see if you do it, really.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, she introduces herself as Fig, and she says, "Hey, I'm kind of here on like a really important mission, and I can't have you guys messing it up. But like, I could also use some help really bad because I'm kind of in a pickle, a moral dilemma pickle." And she's like, we might have to do, we're gonna have to do something illegal, but like, it's gonna save a life if you help me." And Rory does not trust this person who just made her drink sewer water. So
Naturally.
Rory's like, "Hey, you guys can have fun. I'm not helping with this." And the party, they're kind of like, you know what? I'm in. Fuck it.
Fuck it, we ball.
Yeah, so Rory leaves the underground facility fully.
Fucking
And then
brutal.
Fig explains that she's from another dimension, and she's a legendary blacksmith. She makes legendary swords and such. However, she lost all the swords, and her home planet, her home dimension, got corrupted by the scripts, just like this world. And she needs some help because the main church here of Hivedal found one of her swords, and they plan to banish it back to her own dimension, which would be bad because then the beings there would be able to find a way to this dimension and make even more of a problem for the wastes. So the party decides, yeah, that's pretty bad. But Fig had a plan. She was just going to assassinate the high priest, but she does not want to kill. She's really against it, as she wants to be the last noble person of her culture, basically, because they're all kind of insane, murderous monsters.
So,
So the party's like, so she asks the party, like, hey, I can't try to steal the sword myself because if I mess up, then it's going to open and bad things are going to happen because then no one's going to be able to stop them. But if you guys went in and tried to steal it, it'd all be good.
it'll be fine. Yeah?
Yeah, so the party's like, all right, we ball. What's in it for us? Fig says she's a crazy good blacksmith. She can make them some cool shit. And party's like, fuck yeah, we ball.
We love
So,
cool shit.
so Fig tells them, like, tomorrow night at midnight, they're gonna start the ritual. So, like, take the sword as they transport it or do whatever. Anyways, if he's about to cast the banishment, I'm gonna shoot him in the head with this gun that I have. So, good luck. But yeah, the party leave. They get some pretty nifty ear communicators in the meantime, so that's pretty neat. So they can talk to them. And they head on up. They decide, hey, let's hit up another place on our way back home. Let's go check out like the scene of the crime. Which I'd like you to move to the next area.
Oh, God.
So
Oh, great.
while walking on the streets, Dracus, in his very animalistic mindset of living amongst wolves for his life, he spots another who shares his ideas and thoughts. He sees a large muscular woman with blue hair, completely covered in plate armor, not even being visibly seen as a woman yet. However, Dracus sees from their body stance that they are the dominant species of this town, and as Dracus tries to walk by them, they make a very, you know, get out of my turf, yo, kind of stance to him in wolf speak. And, Dracus does not back down, which eventually they decide they're going to fight. Which this person named Yorma also has a small halfling man with her named Lockender. And Lockender's like, oh god, I can't stop this. These two are going to fight. I'm not responsible for this. Yorma, please don't kill him. which at that point, Yorma sheds off the plate armor, revealing basically a half-naked, extremely muscular woman, and they square up in the middle of the streets, and they wrestle the shit out of each other.
Good.
Um, Kane now, who is no longer Brightstone, in his other multiple personality disordered self, basically becomes a coach, a wrestling coach for Dracus during this arc. As eventually he calls a timeout because Yorma is beating the shit out of Dracus. Because Yorma's strategy is basically to grapple him to the ground and then pick him up and break more and more of his limbs. Which is why she has the nickname Yorma the Breaker.
It's a solid strategy.
Yeah, yes, Dracus ain't doing too hot, so Kane calls it out, and Kane decides Dracus is going to die in the streets if he doesn't help. So he uses some buffs and stuff along with Oliver to make Dracus a bit better, and it does not go well again. He's immediately pile drived by Yorba. So Kane decides, hey, I have an idea. I need Yorma to slow it down and be more weakened. So Kane casts a curse on her, and gets a nat 1 on the sleight of hand to hide that he was casting. Yorma is then extremely pissed and just drops Dracus to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Goes up to Kane, grapples him, and as Dracus, goes up and tries to save his friend because he realizes Kane cannot take the same abuse that he can. It's sadly too late, and Captain Kane is Dark Knight Rising baned by Yorma, as he is thrown into the air, then grabbed in the air, and broken in half over her knee, as he is paralyzed.
R.I.P.
Yeah, Kane is in intense pain and is unconscious, which at that point, Lockender comes up and is like, whoa, you're gonna kill him, Yorma. Please don't. And the party kind of tends to Kane, which, the party also has to convince Dracus to not try and keep fighting Yorma, as they convince him she is going to kill you, please don't. Which, during all this panic, they don't realize that this is actually the girl that they were sent to find by Polis.
Oh. Lovely.
Yeah.
Man.
So,
Kane is just fucking up.
Yeah. Kane really fucked it up today. So they patch up Kane. Dracus has to carry him for a while. But, however, Kane, conscious but not really be able to move his legs, decides, hey guys, I know I'm really fucked up, but can we check the scene of the crime? Which everyone refuses, because Kane looks like he's about to die any moment. And they go take a nap for the night.
God.
However, during the night, Rory is sent about 2,000 feet into the air on top of a floating pile of rocks.
Excuse me?
And from behind the rocks, he sees some hair flowing to the side. That looks like it's made out of the sky itself. A nice, bright blue sky with some clouds in it and some stars. As this strange thing of hair talks, it says that it is known as the Star Child, Greyloss, Kurake, whatever you want to call it. And she's calling Rory out on his bullshit. She doesn't believe that Rory's actually a good person. And he's really just doing it for the clout, for the SoundCloud rep. So decides, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a bunch of scribs attack the front gate, and they're going to kill the shit out of all those refugees outside. And the city of Hivedall is not going to let them in. They're just going to close the gates and let them die. Because that's what Hivedall do. So, anyways, So, she decides, I'm going to do that. And even if you save them, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. A bunch of people are going to care who are probably going to die the night after from the cold. So, hey, you do you. Anyways, I'm sending you back now. Good luck, retard. Which she also tries to throw him a fishing pole, but he drops it. Which is, he does, which Greyloss does say, "Hey, that's what's going to cause it." By the way, good job.
Good
Anyways,
job,
yeah.
you missed.
Anyways, tomorrow night, good luck. And Greyloss pieces out and sends him back into his bed. Rory decides, yeah, I should. Rory does decide he will help them, though. However,
Good
as
plan
the
to me.
morning as the morning arrives, Oliver is visited by his two favorite people in the world, the twin primordials of fate. As
Oh,
they come up, as they come up to him, crying and whining that he is a home wrecker and has abandoned their family. They are extremely upset with his behavior, and he needs help. Basically, is what they kind of get to. And also they're here because it's his birthday, and they brought him a present, which they put a bunch of random food on a table. Which, for context, Rory was cursed by one of the twins for 10 days of food. So the first meal that he would eat every day would disappear from his stomach. So he had to eat twice as much every day
oh,
because he insulted one of the twins' vessels, which vessels are people who give up their humanity and their mind for a wish by one of the primordials.
naturally. Okay.
Yeah. Rory did not give one of those vessels his food, some of his food, even though the rest of the party did. Because Rory kind of just said, "Hey, they're vessels. I don't care." And he was cursed from that. And Oliver recognizes all this food on the table because it looks about like 10 meals. It's all
Oh my
Rory's food
god.
that he was been trying to eat for all this time. As I say that this is your birthday present, which Oliver calls them out like, "Hey, you didn't even get me this, bro. Look,
Happy
this is
birthday!
yeah." And Oliver says to send it back to where it came from,
Oh
which
god.
which the twins oblige. While Rory is waking up in the morning, and he then realizes he really needs to shit horribly. Rory then goes to the bathroom and shits out 10 meals.
That.
It's a horrible morning. They just hear screaming from the bathroom as the entire time the twins are visiting Oliver. However, the twins tell Oliver, "Hey, we want you to do something because you're a home wrecker and you kind of owe us one." They give him a bucket of water, and they want him to go inside of the Church of Hivdia, and they want him to put the bucket of water on the corner of a door to the high priest's room. So when he walks out, a bucket of water is going to fall on.
Good. That's how it should be.
Oliver complains at first, but then the twins, say, "Hey, what if people here found out that you were our champion? That'd be very unfortunate. And the whole town that worships Hivdia." Which, Oliver's like, "Yeah, that's a good point. I guess I'll do whatever you want, bro."
That's a good point. I guess I'll be blackmailed.
Yeah, exactly. So Oliver is blackmailed. Oliver decides that, yeah, I'm going to go do that right now. And he runs off to the church. Meanwhile, Kane decides he has no good plan on how to sneak out this sword from probably the most defended location in Hivedal. So he needs a distraction, and he has just the spell for it. Best Detective Kane Brightstone. He decides, "Hey, I'm going to use a spell called Rumor. In a large area around him, some people hear some stuff." So he goes around to the most disgruntled places that he can, filled with poverty, and basically tells lies that, hey, the church is keeping the food from them. Shit's a scam. And he
Shit's a
spreads that
scam.
rumor. Pretty much, yeah. And people are starting to get riled up. And eventually, someone else is caught by this rumor, and that's Rory.
Oh.
And Rory did not even like. Rory's pretty salty about the whole Styx thing. So he's not too much of a fan of Hivedall right now. That's why he trained all these guys to be better than the guards. And also just the guards' incompetence that he's been seeing lately. So he's totally in on this, and he starts to rally up people, and he's like, "Let's go to the church
He's the
and
initiative.
let's ask things. Like, let's have a conversation." And he brings his newly trained guys out. Kane also gets caught up in this as Kane realizes, oh my god, what have I done? This is
Guys,
not
do
good.
not go.
As basically, at first, it goes into a, let's talk to them, to a, let's just have a riot outside, as Kane spreads another rumor that the twins are behind all of this, and that the high priest is helping them, which Rory already hates the twins for making them starve for 10 days, and also making them shit for an hour straight.
Rory's like, fuck yeah, I'm with that. Fuck him.
Yeah. And this turns into an angry armed mob outside of the church, which at this point some paladins are dispatched to stop this, along with their captain, Paladin Styx. And Styx is like, "Whoa, what the fuck is going on? You all gonna execute pretty much all of you? Like this is heresy." And it's getting pretty heated. And however, Kane notices in the top of his eyes that the twins are sitting on top of the church and kind of just watching all of this with a bag of popcorn, laughing at it. And Kane then silently prays to himself that, hey, he needs this Styx guy to look bad, or all the paladins in the church are going to come out and decimate us. And, the twins oblige. They appear next to Styx, and they tell him to go forth, our champion, lay down these people to rest, which, completely riles up the crowd. The people inside of the church just close the door and let whatever's going to happen happen. And a massive fight ensues. And, however, meanwhile, on the inside of the church, Oliver got arrested by the church as he walked up to the church with a bucket of water in hand and refused to tell them what he was going to do with it, but that he needed to bring it inside the church.
Naturally.
Which they kind of think he's a psycho at that point, and they're just like, "Hey, we're just going to lock you up now." And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, that's fair."
Yeah, it's honestly understandable.
Which during his lockup, he learns about the gay romance between. He learns of a gay love triangle between three Hive-Doll paladins. And he tells them like, "Yeah, man, you gotta like go for your dreams and stuff." It's very heartwarming. But another guard tells them, like this situation happens every week. This is a horrible, toxic love triangle. Please don't encourage it." And to not encourage it, they put Oliver down in the basement. So
They do not have a good track record with basements so far.
yeah. Meanwhile, in the basement of the church,
Meanwhile, in the basement.
uh, yeah, there's a bunch of like treasures down here, and across as Oliver is put right here, which he has said if he moves from this place, he will explode and die. Which is this legal to do? Who knows? But while here, he sees a book chained up with a ball and chain and multiple chains in the wall, and he takes a mental note of it. Dracus also tries to save Oliver, who's like, "Well, I don't know where Oliver went, but I heard he was going to the church." And Dracus forgets what he wanted to do at the door and kind of stands there. Then the guards recognize him as that person who drove like a bunch of people insane, and they lock him up too. And anyways, this massive fight is happening outside, and things get pretty heated. Oliver decides that he wants to escape, and he just misty steps out of the explosive trap, which the guards down here try to kill him as well for trying to escape. Meanwhile, Dracus just kicks down the door of where he's being held, goes down to the basement, and finds Oliver. Oh, and also Yorma was here. Yorma was just Kane. No, Rory sent Yorma to the church for saying that Dracus was there being kidnapped. And Yorma's like, "Yo, that my bitch. That's the
My
person
bitch
I
to
break.
break.
Yeah, that's my bitch to break. I want in." And the church is like, "Well, what's going on?"
Whoa, whoa,
And
whoa,
anyways,
whoa.
so as this fight happens, Yorma's just in the middle, and she's just fighting anyone near her at this point.
Causing absolute chaos. Love it.
Yeah, absolute chaos ensues. While the paladins are trying to subdue the citizens non-lethally, Styx is actually killing them.
Six
So Rory
doesn't
just
care.
Styx is casting thunder waves and stuff. It's pretty terrifying. But eventually, the party manages. Well, the Rory and Kane manage to take him down.
The
Most of the
party.
mob,
Yeah, okay.
most of the mob is dead, and two of the guards aren't dying from this.
R.I.P. the guards that the guards aren't.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, they do manage to subdue the people. And meanwhile, on the inside, there's another fight going on in the basement. During the fight, Yorma's barbarian senses start tingling because barbarians scare me. And Yorma shows her power, which makes Kane realize and Rory realize, oh yeah, that's the girl we're here for. As she slams her head into the ground and starts to chew and eat through the ground into the basement.
She is pretty good at digging.
Yeah. As she strangely just starts to eject all of this acidic ooze from herself that looks like script goop. As she does this, it kind of just melts everything around as she digs. Which,
She's
yeah,
horrifying.
yeah, she is horrific. The party does note. And yeah, Yorma's now down there in the basement. She fights Oliver and Dracus, and manages to get Dracus out before he's killed, and Oliver before he is killed through the tunnel she just made. And since Hive Paladins are Hive Paladins, they don't pursue.
They do not pursue.
Yeah, as always.
Bear said, guard
So,
this place. Okay.
yep.
You did it.
Anyways, at the time Yorma burst out of the ground like a groundhog, all the Hive Paladins are dead, and Styx is also dead. Which at that point, Rory, not even having enough, having like four guys with him that are conscious, goes up to the church door, knocks on it, and is like, "Yo, open the fuck up."
Where is the sword?
Yeah, where is the sword? Which, by the way, Oliver sneaks back into the building, Misty Step and invisibility, and he completes the mission impossible. He places the bucket above the door, which as Rory bursts on into the church and demands an audience of the high priest, he comes out and the bucket of water falls on his head.
Mission successful.
Mission successful.
Now the town will never know about Oliver's backstory.
Yep. So
the remaining members.
So yeah, the high priest is like, yeah, there's definitely corruption here because I don't know how that happened to me. Anyways, you just caused a massive skill riot. Um, you're in charge of the investigation now, and if you don't find the guy within 2 weeks, we're gonna execute you for causing a riot. Anyways, bye. Which however, the high priest does say, hey, I'm also gonna give you the right to do whatever you want for this investigation, to go wherever you want and break people's oaths if you need to. So Rory's like, you know what? Fuck it, sure. At least he can actually help the town now. So, but before that, it becomes night. And also during this absolute chaos, Fink sneaks in to the place while invisible and steals the sword back.
Good.
She also messages the party, hey, you guys led to the deaths of like 30 people instead of one. Like,
what the fuck,
fuck.
bro?
Yeah, like, what the fuck? However, Redstone kind of calms her down, like, hey, to be fair, I really didn't know it'd end up like that. I'm really sorry.
To be fair, you didn't have to kill anyone, so you're welcome.
Yeah, and Fig is like, well, like, at the end of the day, Fig says, I probably shouldn't have just trusted random people who fell. But, look, things happen. It looks like what was going to happen was going to happen anyways.
Random people who found her in an alley.
Yeah. And Fig makes notes of it. However, she does say, I'm not giving you guys anything for what you just did.
What the fuck?
Which the party's like, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Nah, fuck him. Fuck Finn. Shit care.
So, anyways. So, Rory, it's 12 o'clock. He knows that those scribs are going to come. He wakes up the party. He's like, guys, I need you to follow me. And don't worry about that.
Trust me,
the party,
I'm not a schizo.
Trust me, I'm not a schizo. She talks in my dreams. So, anyways, Rory heads up to the battlements. She tries to warn his guard, Briggs. but he's like, "Yo, man, you seem pretty fucked up recently after the riot. I
Fuck
don't know.
you.
Like, I don't. Plus, what you're saying is pretty crazy that a bunch of scripts just gonna appear like a couple feet from the gate." And Rory's basically like, "Bro, look, all the people that die here, that's on you. I tried." And he's like, "But I'm gonna go out and save them, as you have to go with your stupid fucking oath." Basically roasts him, and then Rory just walks up to the battlement as no one stops him.
Fuck you and your oath.
Rory heads on up, and he sees the fishing pole falling from the sky. It hits the ice, and some 20-some black scribs appear. He's like, "All right, we got this, boys." He also brings his guards. The guards aren't, and Brightstone follows him up.
Good, the cards
Uh,
are
and then a large orange portal appears above those 20 scribs and crushes them with an even larger orange scrib.
lovely.
And on top, riding this orange scrib, is Lord Orange.
Of course.
About 100, and he is very far from the battlements as well. And he starts to proclaim how the one named Dracus came into his own realm and insulted him horribly and ruined his people's happiness.
Ruined
So
his fucking day.
basically he's gonna take fucking Dracus's happiness. He's gonna destroy this precious town of his that he loves so much. Which Jack. Which, by the way, no one hears this speech because Lord Orange is very far away.
He's just talking.
So everyone's like, more is terrified that a bunch of scribs then start to come out of portals, surrounding all of Hivedal. And then the siege of Hivedal begins. Rory and his guards are like, "Oh my god, Greyloss, you didn't tell me there'd be this many scripts."
Oh, did I
And,
not?
yeah. And anyway, a bunch of guards come up. They start defending, as well as Fig comes in and starts to defend. The twins also show up, talking about how much of a dump this place is because like it's being sieged and everything. And you're like,
See,
"Well," and I guess we could help
why would anyone live here?
just to prove our superiority. And also, Doghead helps. Doghead was in the area as he walks out of a house after freshly butchering a man. And he's like,
He's
"Hey,
just in the
wow,
area.
that's bad. Anyways, I should go tell this to Polis." And Doghead kind of just sneaks out of Hivedal and just heads back to Polis's. He does nothing during the fight. So yeah, what a legend. Omega also shows up at one point because this is really bad, and just guns down a bunch of fucking scripts and then disappears.
Well, I
Oh,
helped.
yeah, pretty much. She helps for 3 turns because there was a commercial for one of her enemies, and that was the
That's
time
fair.
she was given.
That's fair.
Yeah, she has her priorities, right? So, anyways, the party fights. Dracus does identify Lord Orange in the crowd and realizes, "Oh damn, the consequences of my actions have caught up to me."
Fuck.
Which Dracus kind of reaches like this self-actualization of, "You know what? I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to do something that I'm going to do." And Dracus, for once, forms an opinion.
Holy shit.
He immediately gains 1 point of int for doing this.
Fuck yeah.
Dracus jumps off the battlements and walks up to Lord Orange in the middle of this scrib stampede and calls him a little bitch. And is like, "Hey, you're here to fight someone? Fight me." So Lord Orange is like, "All right, none of you scripts touch him. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him." And then they fight for 10 consecutive turns. Lord Orange is just beating him to death with a staff, basically, as he does not use magic, as he just wants to beat the shit out of Dracus. However, Dracus is really good at dodging, and Lord Orange is very inaccurate, I guess. And Dracus is doing some good damage on him. He even manages to scratch off. While Lord Orange he has a bunch of gold plating on him. He looks like a golden snake. As Dracus keeps punching him, they find out that wasn't gold at all. It was paint. And underneath
Ooh.
that gold, it's this ugly bronze rusted color, which sends Lord Orange into an absolute baby rage. And then he
Lord
smites.
Orange, more like Lord Rust. Got him.
Um, Lord Orange beats the living hell out of Dracus. However, as he's beaten the living hell of Dracus, Yorma's barbarian senses start tingling, and
Okay.
she does arrive on the scene to help fight Lord Orange. However, as Lord Orange is just about to escape, as he realizes this ain't going too well now, as a lot of his scripts are
This
dying,
is now a problem.
and also all of his scripts are kind of looking at him like, "Well, bro, why haven't you killed this dude yet?" And also like, "You looking kind of cringe."
Kind of
So,
cringe with that $40 gold bracelet.
Lord Orange decides, you know what, I'm going to ditch this, and all the people here are just going to die, so no one knows about this embarrassment. But he decides, I'm just going to take one last swing, Dracus. So he puts all of his might into this one final swing to try and put him down, which he does with a crit. And Dracus goes down unconscious. Unfortunately, Yorma has even less brains than Dracus and would not be very helpful in his death saving throws, and Dracus would die, however, with a smile on his face, as he finally made a decision and had an opinion.
What a beautiful
And
side
this,
character arc.
I know, yep. And he also managed to, protect some people. Unlike his wolf pack that was slain by Scripps, this time he felt he made a difference. So, good job, Dracus.
Motherfucker went from sleeping in a barn, being the peak of his life, to fighting God.
Yeah, he had one hell of an arc. And yeah, all the scripts kind of just vanished. Also during the fight, everyone kind of had their own objectives. Brightstone, so Greyloss or Kurahake showed up and was talking to Brightstone. Was like, "Hey, I did not actually want this to happen. I just wanted those couple of scripts that got crushed to show up, not all of this." And Lord Orange is acting really out of line, right? Not really cool of him.
Lord Orange is being a little bitch.
So, anyways, she splits Brightstone into three different selves, his three different selves, actually, and tells him, "Hey, I need you to go around this town and start a ritual casting of this. And then it'll let me actually intervene in this." And Brightstone's like, "Don't worry, you got it." And he goes off to different locations of the town to cast the ritual.
I fully expected him to not do that at all.
Yeah, totally not. So, anyways, Oliver then also has a plan. He feels like they got this. That the Orange Scribs, they got this. This ain't Oliver's fight. However, Oliver's been thinking about that book in the basement that he saw. He wants it.
Mm.
And he thinks, during the siege, that's probably not going to be as well as defended. So he bolts the fuck across the city.
Little does he know, they're Highwall Paladins. They don't move.
Yeah, pretty much. And but he does make it into the basement pretty well. And he actually does manage with some pretty sneaky rolling to get on in and steal the book. However, there's a bunch of Highveld paladins that were chasing him for the entire time. He just kept spamming Misty Step. And eventually, it looks like they're cornered. But one of Brightstone's alternate personalities, Ace, uses a spell that echoes throughout the basement. It says, "I'm going to steal even more things from down there," which terrifies the Hivedall Paladins. It is like, all right, we can lose one thing. I don't want to lose more from that dude. So the Paladins kind of just let Oliver go at that point.
Christ.
Of course, just then putting up for wanted. So Oliver gets the book during all this kerfuffle. Fun times. And then Brightstone finishes the ritual. And, Karaki appears and is like, all right, one is spell. What do you want me to cast? And he says, Meteor Swarm. So a bunch of large stars start to fall from the sky, and they all concentrate on where the most of the scribs are in one section of the wall. And they absolutely destroy the scribs and the wall.
To be expected, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't really
And
know what else they wanted there.
yeah, and Karaki then's like, all right, that's me, bud. And she leaves. However, at that point, Avrios also shows up as Rory, called Dad, as usual, to help.
Dad.
And he shows up and kind of just cleans up the rest of the stragglers. they do manage to defend the city. Pretty much everyone was near death. It was pretty intense. Even Dracus is death.
Dracus is
Rip.
dead.
So, you know, they at that point they take a little resty poo. Rory does a "I fucking told you so" to Briggs,
Fuck you. Fuck your life.
and yeah, they go take a nap because they're all almost dead. And even all of the guards aren't survived that, and they were chads.
Mm. That's the important part.
And yeah, Rory also collects the body of Jackus and is pretty bummed out. And yeah, they take a little nappy poo. In the morning, they have a proper burial for Jackus. Who none of the rest of the city really knows what he did, but the party does know.
They know
Set
he
up with blood.
squared up with God.
Yeah, they know they squared up with that motherfucker. Then they do meet out something pretty curious though. That wall that was destroyed by strange circumstances cannot be repaired. As they try to repair it, whatever they try to build there just breaks and falls apart,
Mm.
which is bad, really bad. They do not know what to do, and also even more horrifically, there are people who survived, mostly from rubble fallen on them. Not the no one survived the actual meteors. But what's strange is any sort of healing magic doesn't work on them to repair
Mm.
their wounds, which is also very bad. So at that point, the group goes to the bar again, the strange bar that Omega runs, and they ask, "Yo, you know your shit. What the fuck is going on? That's not normal." And Omega explains that Greyloss has the power called permanence, which anything she does can't be undone. And it also makes her immortal, which is a problem. And they're trying to figure that out because she's kind of evil.
Okay,
But
out of recap, does that mean my harmonica's permanent? Can it not be
yes,
destroyed?
yes, it is indestructible.
Perfect.
So yeah, the party learns that they're kind of horrified. They're like, "Wow, we should really stop her." Rory also kind of learns more about her because she does talk to Rory. He's like, "Hey, I guess I was wrong about you. I didn't even want you to do that much, and you did anyways. And like, good on you. I guess you are one of the good ones." And she gives him a fishing rod without tossing it this time.
Guess you're not that bad.
And Rory chats to her and is like, "Hey, what's going on?" And Grails explains like, "Yeah, basically, the world's a lie and everything is meaningless. There's something called the cycles, and it resets everything at one point. And she, because of permanence, she's lived through all of them and has memories of it. So she's decided that she wants to end the cycles, so to make life have meaning."
Hmm.
So yeah, Rory's like, I kind of get it, but like, you're kind of fucked up too, because you've done some horrible things. And, Grace is like, well, it doesn't really matter now, does it?
Doesn't really
So
matter.
yeah, so Rory's kind of like, yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from, but like, maybe
Fuck.
not do it like this.
But like, fuck you, you know?
Yeah, but they fish together, as Rory's fishing rod can open portals that
Can
can only get crabs out of them.
they can only get what?
Crabs
Huh.
can only fish crabs.
That's
But,
nice.
yeah, anyways, they fish for a bit, kind of learn about each other, as well as Omega kind of saying that along with Sui, who's in the bar. Sui, Omega also casually mentions that at one point, Heaven Trademark made Sui extremely angry, and she destroyed a large chunk of it, which the saying goes that Heaven Trademark used to be infinite, and until they pissed off Sui. Now it does have an actual physical space.
Good.
Which the party is terrified of Sui, as they do not really see her as the destructive demigod she is.
Yeah.
They also learned that the Suireko is also a sort of creation deity, as it's said that when the universe ends, the last person standing basically gets to remake the universe from their memories. And they become the Suireko, which Suireko is more of a title than a name.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so yeah, they're kind of terrified of Suri at this point. And the party does ask the question, where did the rest of the heaven go? And Omega and Suri think like, hey, I didn't really think about that. Maybe we should go find that. And the party at first is like, hey, can we come? But they're like, no, you're too low level. I'm sorry. So after that talk, the party decides to plan their next move, because that was crazy. Also, Doghead, who has a strange skill, which is to move between places extremely quickly in the wastes. As the weird curse of travel doesn't really affect him as much.
Mhm.
He heads back to Polis. Polis teleports into town and decides, hey, I want to know what happened. Finn, which is Dracus's player's new character, is told to head on out, gather up the party who's here, and ask them, what the fuck did you guys do? And Finn does. Finn gathers them up pretty well. He is he's pretty efficient, horrifically efficient.
Horrifically
Yeah.
efficient.
Yeah. And yeah. However, during this, Oliver summons the twins because he's been reading his book. In the back, it's a story about a girl named Diane, and the last page is a cry for help from her that she's imprisoned somewheres. And Oliver makes a deal with the twins. He's going to sell off his life to the twins. In exchange, he wants to go and save Diane. So the twins like, okay, yeah, sure. Wherever you go next, like when you leave Hivedoll, you're gonna just end up there, no matter what. You and your party. And Oliver's like, sweet, thanks, bro.
Does that make Oliver a vessel or just like?
He doesn't really know yet,
Oh, okay, that's cool.
but
That's
who
cool.
knows?
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Anyways, so Paulus gathers up everyone and is like, yo, what happened? And we'll kind of explain. Paulus is like, all right, well, I'm gonna be here for a bit because I need to try to help in that wall. I put up some magical wards because I don't want people to die en masse. Which they find weird coming from Paulus, but they accept it. And they head on out. They go and decide, hey, let's go investigate that food shortage, because Rory has unlimited access. And they go in there. There's some weird script juice on the ground. It corrupts Goldman. He becomes big and scary. He fights, but it's funny. Then they manage to find out with some clues and stuff that the leader of the cult of the Kurohake is the one who stole the food. And Rory is also blinded by some words that were written on the outside of the building. And when they go down to the sewers from a trail that was led, Rory can see through a wall and there's a portal in it, but no one else can see it. And Rory, while blinded, can walk into it. So the party decides, hey, that's where we must gotta go. So they all blind themselves and they go through the portal and down a tunnel. Now to over here. And yeah, here was the battle between the corrupted Goldman in the basement. It was a horrific fight. Anyways, they continue down the tunnel, and eventually they enter a forest with no snow in it. And they see a mansion in the distance. At this point, they have no idea what this is. So, Brightstone calls up his employer, the Kurake. He's like, hey, this is your cult. What's going on? Kurake's like, oh, yeah. My head disciple, Kidero, holds parties like this sometimes. You must have taken the food to, like, accommodate for it. Anyways, good luck. So the party decides, hey, let's just disguise as cultists. Because Brightstone is, basically a cultist. And they sneak into the party. And yeah, it's a pretty ballin' party. Kadero's right at the entrance, though. and he singles out Rory because Rory like talks to him directly. And at first, Cadero thinks he's pretty sussy, but after talking to him, him and Cadero vibe, and Cadero even takes out something from a flask in his side pocket, and he pours one for Rory, and Rory agrees. When Rory drinks it, he starts tripping absolute shit at this point,
He drank
and
the
he,
punch.
yeah, he drank the cultist Kool-Aid, and he goes absolutely insane. He starts to see things. There's a bunch of entities in the sky staring down at him. He sees some polyhedrons everywhere. It is insane. He's losing his mind. But however, Rory's trying to act cool because he doesn't want this guy to murder him. So yeah, Rory's tripping out but trying to act like everything's normal.
It's on acid, but
Meanwhile,
trying to be cool.
yeah, pretty much tripping on every acid and trying to just act, being in front of like your mom. Meanwhile, the rest of the party's trying to find the food and get it out. And they were also given a bag of holding by Paulus so that they could put the food in there. Because Paulus heard about the job they were going on and decided, hey, you guys cannot carry like 1,000 pounds of bread. Take these bags. So while exploring, and Finn was also sent to, make sure they actually did shit. Now, Finn sees a bunch of cultists at a table. They're like, hey, what's up? Like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, we're like gonna sacrifice ourselves later to try to bring it back Kurohake. It's gonna be pretty lit.
It's gonna be a
And
fucking vibe.
yeah, and Finn's like, whoa, bro, like that's messed up. Why do you guys kill yourselves? Like, why do you guys do blood sacrifices? Anyways, Finn rolls a nat 20 on that persuasion. And the cultists decide, yeah, man, you're right. Why do we?
Why do we kill ourselves?
Yeah, it's like she never asked us to. She never come up before. And like basically Finn is then sat down at the table forcefully as the cultists really get into his very radical mindset. His very free thinking self as Finn starts to say some other crazy ideas. Like why do you guys wear all the weird robes, dude? Like, do we really
You
need
guys don't have
matching
casual
uniforms?
Fridays?
Yeah, like more. You could use more than daggers. Like
No, if you get
a
a
lot
gun.
of yeah, a lot of crazy free thinking stuff going on there.
It's
Which
radical as these fucking
as
cultists.
as usual, Brightstone casts his favorite spell, Rumor, which says there's a crazy radicalist spitting some straight facts down here.
Spitting straight facts.
Which, yeah, pretty much half the building just shows up and is surrounded Finn. Finn is sweating buckets, but like no one notices really because everyone's drunk.
They're as drunk as fuck. Spins over here shitting and pissing.
Yeah, he's like, as eventually it's brought to the conclusion that Finn himself will lead the summoning of Kurahake tonight, where they won't kill themselves, and it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be great. And then tomorrow, we're making waffles.
Hell yeah, yeah, it's pretty low in the cultist house.
Pretty fucking
As a
lit.
yeah, they realize Kanero's not really like a cult leader. He's kind of just a party guy.
Just a dude.
You
Wanna chill.
dude, and really basically just convinces people with house parties to summon dark gods. An absolute lad. So, anyways, Sprightstone is investigating around, and Oliver gets bullied in a corner by some mages who are like, "Yeah, man, I open carry my spell book," and it's like, "Oh, you don't open carry," and they call him a pussy. And he gets bullied by a guy at one point, which Oliver starts to insult him personally, and the guy's like, "Whoa, bro, that ain't cool."
Well, bro, I know I just like called you a whore or some shit, but like, what the fuck, man?
He insulted. It was a rhino, man. He insulted his horn. It was really
Oh,
messed up.
dude, it's not cool.
Yeah, basically, he went from being bullied by nerds to being bullied by a bunch of football players.
And then bullying them back.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Anyways, Brett Stone is patrolling around, and he finds an angel. Well, however, it's a Drakian angel, which the Drak here are known to be a sort of corrupted species of something called the Lanyard, which are the beings that actually make the angels in Heaven trademark. And yeah, the Drak here have their own angels. They're not really super sentient, but they're absolutely filled to the brim with weapons.
Mm.
However, Brightstone meets one that is actually sentient, and he's like, "Yo, our Drakir Warbrand was basically like brought here forcefully by a secretary," which he explains that in Drakir society, there's two castes. They're the secretaries. They make all the machinery and stuff of the Drakir. Then the war priests, much more the religious side of them. However, the secretaries are a main line to their queen of the Drakir, so they got to follow what the secretaries say. Anyways, the warband's really pissed that they're here because they're being made to prepare food in the back, and it's not really what they do. But and I guess the war priest is in a room, kind of just like being really mad in the corner. So Brightstone decides, "Hey, bro, don't worry. I'm gonna go talk to him and like cheer him up." And he's led to him. Which, as soon as Brightstone opens the door, the war priest attacks him with his mace
Mm.
and almost kills Brightstone immediately. But Brightstone's like, "Okay, calm
Fuck,
down."
my
And
bad, bro.
as like the war priest is like, "Okay, yeah, that was kind of uncalled for, but like, who the fuck are you, and why should I be in you?" And Brightstone explains, like, "Yeah, bro, this is messed up. You should go do something about it." And kind of just like he puts a very rousing speech of freedom to this war priest, and the war priest is like, "You know what? You're right, kid. I should go do something."
You're right, my
He,
bad, dog.
he hits Brightstone one more time with his hammer, and then he heads on out to all of his Dracula waiting for him, and he's like, "All right, let's rise up, brothers." And they head upstairs, completely leaving the kitchen empty, which Oliver, who's now come down, uh, helps Brightstone gather up all the food, which they do successfully before a lot of it's brought out. Meanwhile, Finn is kind of roped into summoning a dark god. So he heads out to the summoning circle. He says, "All right, we're not going to kill anyone. So I have an idea." And he says he calls upon the primordial Kurohake, which is the most jaw-dropping moment the cultist hear, because he calls her a primordial, which is super heresy.
Oh.
And the cultists decide, this guy was full of shit. It's like, but what if we sacrificed someone who worshipped the primordials? They're like, yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. And they'll decide collectively they're going to sacrifice Finn.
What if we do sacrifice someone tonight? That'd be crazy.
Yeah, what if we just did? So, but don't worry, because Oliver comes to the scene and a chase scene begins. However, Oliver quickly stops the scene as he puts a card into the middle of the table. He knows the spell Fireball, and with one cast of Fireball, he kills 30 cultists.
Jesus Christ.
The chase ends
Yeah, I'd say so.
as there are about 6 cultists left, as they were all grouped. So yeah, Oliver commits a massive war crime,
War crime
and
indeed.
the party gets off scot-free. Rory also just jumps off the balcony and Misty steps away after the drugs get way too bad for him.
Man said, no, this, no, I ain't doing too hot.
Yeah. So, anyways, they head back to town. Rory's in the tunnel and it's tripping out even more. And they even take a rest, and when he wakes up, it's not gone.
It is gone or it's not gone?
It's not.
Oh, good.
Which, Rory is still tripping on the drug to this very day.
How is Mr. Archer Man shooting while on acid?
He's just the best ranger, obviously.
Nah, my bad. My mistake.
So, they go back to Hive and, AK brings up the fact, bro, we have no food. What if we just, like, skimmed a bit off the top of this? And Rory's like, "No, man, we can't do that. That would be wrong. And besides, they're gonna totally give us something for doing this, right?"
Hey,
And the
like,
whole party. the whole party disagrees with Rory. Like, no, I don't think they will. Rory's like, no, bro, it's fine. They will. I got this. He does not get anything. The Hive Doll instead rewards him with his life by not executing Rory
You're welcome.
for causing a riot that killed 30 people.
You're welcome.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, all right, now get out of my church, bye. Rory at this point changes his lawful good alignment to neutral good on the spot.
Mm-hmm. That makes
And
sense.
Avrios is still in town. As Rory's kind of sulking around the town, there's a shadow over him, which is Avrios' shadow, looming over the town menacingly. As he's like, yeah, Rory, I kind of want to talk to you. Like, how's it going, bro? And Rory's like, well, kind of good, but like, I just got dicked over. And he's like, damn, yeah, Live DS sucks.
Yeah, that sucks,
Anyway,
bro.
I don't know why I'm here waiting for you. I'm gonna go now. But yeah, I mean, Rory gives like a little update to Avrios, and Avrios like, yeah, good job by the way for defending the city. You did good, kid. So yeah, cool guy, Avrios. And yeah, at that point, they go back to Paulus, and Paulus is like, well, good job. You got the food. Looks like this town will be safe, actually. And Paulus is like, hey, I'm just going to open a portal to my mansion, and we're all going to appear there. And then, and they got Yorma in tow as they convinced Yorma that, like, hey, Dracus, Dracus was trying to get you to come here. You should do it as kind of like a last wish thing. But Yorma's like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, fuck it, I guess.
So even though Lockender at first did not want to go because he is terrified of Polis, because he owes Polis something,
Understandable.
probably. And well, Yarma's just like, no, we're going. We're going to bring you by force. And he's like, okay, well, I guess. So yeah, at that point they go through the portal, and just as the twins promised, there was a portal mishap, and they appear in front of the Horaiko facility, which they then sneak into. And that would be the start of the VODs that are up. So yeah, that's it.
That was quite the lore dump.
Yeah.
um.
Any question?
Yeah. No. Strangely, I think it actually just like answered any questions I had instead of making more, which is not what I expected. Truth be
Yeah,
told.
I told you all these maps are coherent.
It makes sense enough.
Yeah. Anyways, my throat's dead. I'm gonna go get a drink of water.
Yeah, you were kind of just talking for 2.5 hours straight, so.
Yeah, I don't know how beloved I'll be back.
Alright. I'm gonna wrap up this stream then. Well, if you guys want to see the continuation of the campaign itself, I stream Tuesdays at about 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time, and it lasts for about 3 hours. Usually we go a little over if we're in the middle of something, but yeah, just drop a follow, do whatever you want, come hang out. But yeah, see you guys around. Thanks for tuning in tonight.